Hello. And here we go. I'm live, apparently. That's what it says here. And I hope everybody's all right. Of course. Now, now that I'm live, I've got to sneeze. Couldn't happen before. Had to happen after. And here we go. Okay. Everything seems to be good. We can now start. Hey, everybody, welcome aboard. This is the Shortwave Radio Live Show. We are here twice a week, talk about radio, more radio, and more radio, and just radio. Or sometimes we go into other stuff, but radio is the main subject here. Welcome aboard. Hope you enjoy the show today. We are live on Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. That is 0 hours Universal Time. We are live on Friday at 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific, and that's 20 hours ETC. And of course, you can hear my voice with Sheldon Harvey's voice on a show called the International Radio Report on Sunday. CKUT.ca is the place to go. It's at 10:30 a.m. Eastern. That's 14:30 Universal Time, where you can stream it online at CKUT.ca. And of course, if you live in Montreal area, 90.3 FM. We I just sent the this Sunday's show to CKUT, so it's already all edited, all done. Me and Sheldon do this every Friday afternoon at 1 p.m. And hope that you'll enjoy the show this coming Sunday. So we have, of course, and talk about a lot of stuff. My name is Gilles. I'm located in Montreal, Quebec, Canada. That is northeast part of North America, just above the state of Vermont and New York and so on. About 100 miles from the U.S. border, Montreal is about. Nice to have everybody here. And of course, there's a beautiful chat room, really nice place where there's a lot of cool and fantastic people that are civilized and have a lot of fun talking about radio. And we, of course, have a Facebook group. So when it's all over here, you don't have to stay and be alone. We have the Facebook group, which has a lot of activity. We're at 775 members, something like that. Pretty crazy. We're almost at 800. So this is nice, and I think it's going to be a lot of fun to continue this. People are really nice over there. They share a lot of their knowledge and ask questions and post pictures of their radios, their shacks, what they're doing with radio. It's really a lot of fun, and it's nice to see. It's nice to see the faces also. See the people around, that are. It's something to see a name and to see you, interact in a chat room. But sometimes when you post a video or a picture and we see you, who you are, it's kind of cool because you could put a face on somebody's name suddenly. And it's always fun to have all of you guys sharing there. It's really cool. And, a great place to be. It has the same name as this channel, official SWL channel. Official SWL channel. Let me just share the link here to the page. I'm going to share the page link. It's really a lot of fun. I should have started that group a long time ago. I mean, 780 members now. Look at that, guys. 780 members. So just click the link here. Make sure that you answer the couple of radio questions. And basically, you're in. As long as you haven't created your Facebook profile 24 hours before you asked to be in, because there's needs to be a minimum of security to remove the trolls from there, make sure they're not getting in. So, of course, we have a small army of moderators, and they do a nice job in checking out who's getting in, who's not, and making sure that everything's all right on the group. It's really nice because it's one of those groups. I always say it. I've been to so many Facebook groups, and you get to a point where you get tired the way that some are acting or some are doing things, and you're like, yeah, I'm not sure I want to be here. And well, the group that we have here is really nice, and I mean, it's clean fun. We're just enjoying radio together, and this is the cool thing about it. So we are going to talk a little bit about SDRs today because we have our friend Robert that signed in. So Elizabeth in Regina, Saskatchewan says hello. Robert also says hello. He has questions about SDRs because he's been watching the show. He doesn't know much about them, and he's kind of curious. So he's got a few questions concerning software-defined receivers that we're going to answer, because I'm sure that if he's got some questions about that, others have questions about that also. And it's just funny because at 1 p.m. when we were doing the live show, the International Radio Report, me and Sheldon, we kind of came on the subject of SDRs and how he was getting questions about that. And he also personally had questions about it, So it's kind of cool. We're going to answer and try to answer all of that in the show today, and hope that you enjoy. And of course, we'll check out any signals. If anybody hears something unusual in the bands, I was tuned to CFRX Toronto, Canada 6070, which is coming in pretty well right now on 49 meters. But been going around the bands a lot. There was a station half an hour ago on 20 meters. There was that station from Barcelona, Spain, that was calling CQ on 20 meters about an hour ago. So I don't know if he's still there, but it's a lot of fun to so some activity on 14185 upper sideband. Some ham radio operators talking. And we'll talk a little bit more also about another question that I've got in its what are the modes that are used on shortwave in transmissions? Because the question came on a message on the YouTube channel, and I thought it'd be interesting to answer it also here, because I think it's something that a lot of people might want to know more about. So let's start. Nice to have you on board, everybody. Mark Cup, WA5153SWL in Dallas, Texas. Bobby Burgess, WA5107SWL in Morgan City, Louisiana, USA. Nick Hanmondot from Romania. Frank Tillman, nice to have you here from Minnesota, USA. Kevin J. Napalo from Point Beach, New Jersey, WS2H. I was thinking of you the other day, and I think I told you. I don't remember if I told you, but I was playing around with the ICOM ICR30 and trying to get some D-Star, which is doesn't decode well on UHF because of too much interference around here. But last week on Saturday morning, and I gotta try to remember. I gotta remember to tomorrow morning to check it out. there was a French language D-Star net on 2 meters, and that one worked well. So I'm going to try to tune in tomorrow morning again. But still showing that the ICOM ICR30 has, unfortunately, a lot of performance problems when you're in a high, when you're in a big city with a lot of signals around you. It can't cope with it. So it's sad, but I will never be able to recommend to anybody the ICOM ICR30 because of too many of the problems. And what's funny is when I because some of you have it and seem to be happy, but what I notice is that most people that are happy with it seem to be people that are living in rural areas where there's a lot less signals. So the radio might not be overloading for you guys, and it might actually work better. And it's crazy, but unfortunately, my Radio Shack and Realistic scanners actually perform better at receiving signals than and they're like 20, 30 years old than that ICOM ICR30. That tells you that there's a problem there for sure. Jeff Williams, nice to have you on board from Southwest Cornwall. Says hello to Elizabeth. Rob, nice to have you here in Phoenix, Arizona. Rick, W8PRR, WOHB 1390 in Ohio. Matt from cloudy Denver, Colorado. It's exactly 86 Fahrenheit, 30 Celsius. Wow. Here it's not bad. It's right now it's 16 Celsius, so we're in the 60s. And actually, at one point this afternoon, it was almost we were almost at 20 Celsius, so not too bad. Tomorrow's supposed to be like sunny and 18 or something like that. Nice day to do some radio outdoors on the balcony for sure. Rodelva 65 from New York City. Nice to have you here. Hehab, nice to have you on board from Brussels, Belgium. Maximilian Propotnik, nice to have you here from Croatia. David, KJ4CMY, nice to have you on board. James Farley, nice to have you here. Liam Conlon, nice to have you here. Liam Icadarius, hey, nice to have you here. Rufus Newt, Laurentian Valley, Ontario, Canada. PLF Radio, bonjour et bienvenue de la France. Toujours un plaisir. And for those asking, because somebody will ask, vodka orange juice once again on this Friday. Alors, bienvenue PLF Radio. J'espère que tout va bien là-bas en France. Ou du mieux possible, car c'est un temps plutôt compliqué et complexe. John Wright, nice to have you here from East Tennessee. Rob Fiducia, nice to have you here. Almay Sam, nice to have you on board, my friend. Brawler, nice to have you here from Arkansas. Christian Inc., nice to have you here from Germany, Christian. Hans, nice to have you here from Australia. Hans Bogardner, nice to have you here from Austria. I miss Radio Austria International. It was one of my favorite stations to listen to. So many QSLs here from Radio Austria. I know they still exist in a very basic form, but I miss the English or French language programs they had. Arthur's Alley Crafter's Kitchen. Nice to have you here from Massachusetts. And absolutely loving his Grundig Satellite 800. That's cool. We talk a lot about radios on the official Shortwave channel. And we all have our radio that we love, that we swear that it's the best in the world. And there's two parts in that. There's, for me, when I say radio, that's maybe expensive or that's this or that. I know that some people sometimes might not be, they might not agree, which is totally fine. We can't all agree. And if we would all agree on the same things, I think the world would be a boring place. But I go with it with the performance value versus price point here. But one of the things I was saying today is whatever radio you have, if you love it, it doesn't matter what anybody else think or says. Some of the radios I have here, I've had some bad reviews or mixed reviews, and I've used them and actually enjoyed using them, and I thought they were nice and good radios. It's everybody's take on what a good radio is different. How much money you want to spend on the radio is different for everybody. And there are things that make one love one more than the other, and so on. But a lot of it at some point comes to the fact that we have a personal take on it also. We have our personal opinion of what radio we love and why we think it's one of the best out there. And sometimes it's not necessarily that it's the best. We just love it. It's just the radio we want and we like, and that's it. And that's fine. That's fine. It's just funny. I was looking at the comments on the channel today, and one of the comments was, that radio that you did a video, you could have done so much better talking about it. The funniest part is that a lot of people stumble upon one video and don't bother looking at anything else. But, I answered back to the guy and saying, well, if you would have just searched the model in YouTube search, you would have seen all the videos I made, including a review of it, including a lot of videos where I talk about it. This was just tuning the bands, and that's it. It was not a review. It was not, and I don't know, people sometimes stumble upon a video, and I guess for some reason it's not what they want to see. I often go on YouTube channels that with people posting videos of reception, and they don't talk. They just either tune around or it's a station, and I like that. I personally like that type of video. A lot of people post videos. I know a lot of you guys post videos that are very short. It's like this is radio whatever, and you got that 2-minute video, and that's it. I am one of those that likes videos that are longer, but that's me, and I know that there's a big chunk of the YouTube viewers that what they want is short. Short to the point. Short to the point is not I would say is not my highest or biggest quality. I will be to the point, but I will be to the point with more talk, and and some people, and that annoys some people. And well, like I always say, it's a free world. There's so many other YouTube channels out there. I mean, I regularly have comments. If somebody will pop up on our pre-recorded, a recorded show, and it was like, well, this guy talks for 4 hours and says nothing. First of all, I doubt that you listen for 4 hours if you say I say nothing. And second of all, well, that's the thing. And some people like what I do in that way. That's my thing, and that's the way it is. And it's like, well, thanks for your comment, but you know what? I'm going to do another 3 or 4 hour, talk, and it's not going to change. This is what I do. That's it, Goes back to a lot of comments of, other YouTubers always telling me, you get all the ranting all the time. And it's like, yep. There's a subset of users that are viewers that are just there to rant, and that's it. John Pickney, nice to have you on board from Oak Hill, Virginia, W3XWT. Joe Rodman from the Chicago area. Eric Cottrell, radio. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Icadarius says, although radio is the topic, Paul is the real topic. Somebody sent me a message the other day because he stumbled upon one of my live shows where I'm talking about how Paul the cat became my cat. And he thought that this story was just so cool. Erica Trail rained here earlier, mostly clearing up this afternoon. Yeah, we had maybe 10 minutes of rain, but that's pretty much it for all the day today. Brian Penny, nice to have you here from Cape Cod, Massachusetts. The guy that is searching and looking and lurking and always wanting to see where are pirates. Mark Rich, is it really Friday again? Yep, it is. And it's even worse. It says, how these confined days fly. Good evening from Europe. Cold and sunny day here in west of England. And it's not just that. I woke up this morning realizing a new month has started. We are May 1st today, which is astonishing. And I posted a joke on my Facebook group where the bars are closed since March 15th. You cannot go to a bar in Montreal. And I posted as a joke, I'm happy, I'm proud of myself. I haven't been in a bar in a month and a half. So everybody found it kind of funny because it's like, yeah. Benny Charbonnier, nice to have you on board from the Netherlands. PA0056 SWL. Eric Control, not to be confused with my evil twin Gillis. That one was, I have so many of the different things here that are weird, like my name is spelled all weird, or when Radio Budapest Shortwave Club insisted that I was Miss Gilles Letourneau and not Mr. And I remember writing to them every time I would write in with a reception report saying, I'm a man, I'm a guy. It's Mr., not Miss. And they'd return that QSL and it's like, hey, Miss Gilles Letourneau, yeah. Okay, you're never going to change that. Never going to change that. John Pickney says he remembers that today is International Distress Signal Day. Oh, interesting. Let's hope there's not too many of those during the show. Jeff King, nice to have you here. Catalin, nice to have you on board from Germany. Listening to thunderstorms on the SDR Uno spectrum at 1 megahertz medium wave. Popcorn and a Jack Daniels cola drink. Cool. Bobby Burgess, going to the tech side, if you get an entitlement license with Windows 10 Home, then you decide to go to Pro. Do you get to upgrade to Pro for free with your digital entitlement? If you have Windows 10 Home, you have to pay for the upgrade to the Pro. If your machine has upgraded to the Pro, then afterwards it will always be okay for the Pro with that digital license. So if you paid for the Pro, you have a separate key for the Pro. So all you have to do is enter that. But it has to be the same machine that you paid for the key. Sheldon Harvey, nice to have you here from Greenfield Park, Quebec. The guy that was on my Skype a couple of hours ago, where we recorded a show called the International Radio Report. Jason Francis, nice to have you here from Ottawa. Tom DXer in Hudson Valley, New York. Joe Sombranuas, nice to have you here from Brazil. Tiago Souza, nice to have you here from Brazil. Papa Uniform 2, Bravo Echo Victor. Cool. You do a lot of ham and HF stuff, Tiago? Dijon, nice to have you here from Bavaria, Germany. Rifleman 336. And from your uncivilized heathens in Southwest Ohio. And 8 UCN. Nice to have you here, Alex. We'll do some shortwave later tonight. Mike, WDX50. Nice to have you here from Northwest Arkansas. Everybody saying hello to Elizabeth. Northern Dawn, nice to have you here from England. Rick Satter, nice to have you here. Keegan, XN80Xer in Northwest Arkansas. 83 Fahrenheit and sunny. Um, Rob says, "Greetings, Robert. Great name." What else do we have? Kathleen, you should stream also over podcast. Oh, man. David, KJ4CMY. My realistic DX342 finally died. What do you recommend for a replacement for US $50 or under? For $50, I would go for a RadioWow R108. I think at that price point, it's pretty much what you will find as one of the most sensitive, versatile. It's a general coverage, medium wave FM, and general coverage, all the spectrum of shortwave. Doesn't have single sideband, but has the airband also, so you can listen to airplanes in the airport. So that would be my choice of a $50 under. It's about $50 ish. RadioWow R108. The other choice would probably be a Texan PL 310 ET 310 ET would be also a good replacement. Matt says some special event station to look. WW0WWV is back because 100 years ago in May 1920, the original WWV started playing music from phonographs on Friday evenings. Oh, so Whiskey Whiskey Zero, Whiskey Whiskey Victor for WWV is back. Cool. René Charbonnier says, I think you will see my head again on Facebook next week. Well, I like it. I like to see the guy in action, in front of the radio doing something. It's kind of nice. Matt says, Oscar Zulu 75 May out of Europe, celebrating 75th anniversary of the end of World War II. Okay, cool. So lots of interesting stations there. Donald Hosmer, nice to have you here. W8SWL in northern Michigan. And says, just got back from an ATV ride on the countryside, sunny and 68. Cool. Others out of Crafter's Kitchen heard grease ham on 20 meters this afternoon. Wondering if there is a European DX contest this weekend. Usually they start at 0 UT, but you never know. It's not impossible. I'll be gonna have to check that out. PLF Radio, what do I think about the upcoming Texan PL330? So yeah, I did read and I remember when it was announced. Looks interesting. It will depend on the price point and all of that, but looks interesting, especially because it's kind of a upgrade replacement to what they say is the Texan PL310 ET and PL380. Smaller form factor, has synchronous detection and single sideband. Could be a very interesting receiver. It all depends on the price point, though. The receivers, the Texan, the H501 and the PL990 are very expensive, but looks promising and very interesting. Kathleen found an interesting repeating signal on longwave 175 at 53 kHz in Germany. Beeps every second. Huh. Jean-Marc Letz, nice to have you on board de Strasbourg en France. Toujours un plaisir. Tony Westbrook, nice to have you on board from the UK. Let's just go down and down. PLF Radio, you prefer the ICOM R20 over the R30? The R20, even though it overloads less than the R30 does in the same environment. So I would say as a very quick, I need a radio now that listens to stuff, the R20 would be probably the first choice because I don't have to fiddle with it. I know it's going to work with what I want to do. The R30, you have to play with the attenuator or the RF gain and stuff. So It's sad because the R30 does a lot more than the R20 and has some interesting capabilities. I do love listening to D-Star stuff, but man, it doesn't decode half of the time because of too much noise. Lee Burkett, the other guy I like to see is videos or pictures on the Facebook group with tons and tons of radio listening. He always seems happy with his radio. Nice to have you here, Lee. I've been restoring many pirate radio transmissions onto audio cassette as well as shortwave listening this week. We'll continue the pirate search next week. Cool. Nice to have you on board. Joe Rudman says MI0JAT from Northern Ireland is currently on 14185. Oh, maybe that's what I'm hearing. I'm hearing talk, but I haven't kind of concentrated. I haven't concentrated on the station itself. Bob T, nice to have you on board from Northeast Ohio, listening to the voice of Greece 9420 all last night, working on a puzzle, enjoyable music, and good reception. If you like Greek music, it is absolutely nice. It's like listening to, I compare that to listening to the Radio Nacional Amazona. If you like Brazilian style music, they have some really nice music on Radio Nacional Amazona in the evening. So that also is a kind of a nice listen. And it's always fun to listen to some music and thinking, that thing comes from thousands of kilometers away. It's always blows my mind, honestly. Good Radio says, it's all right for me here in France. Nice to have you here. Nathan Greenwich, nice to have you on board. Matt says Jill is describing my channel. Corbinite 1, nice to have you on board. And ordered his first shortwave radio yesterday. Oh, that is nice. In Dublin, Ireland. Pretty cool. G550 Gulfstream. So, Mark, 52, studying for a ham tech in general. Thank you for the video. Cool. Good luck. I'm sure you're going to have that. What else do we have? Bobby Burgess. I was a ranter until I deleted all those videos and then converted into a radio channel. Cool stuff. Dova 65 got a new toy yesterday, the Fedri LAN IQ standalone SDR. Perfect for the expeditions. We need to know more, and if you love it, it's going to be fun to know if you really enjoy that little device. Cool. That's a nice toy. Nissan Greenwich. Just got it. May 1st, Mayday. Mayday. Yeah. Mayday. Kind of. Northern Dawn, drinking an old Empire IPA and listening to Greece. Everybody saying hello to Elizabeth. Mad Radio DXer, nice to have you here. Laird Nigel Lawrence, good evening. Ian from G0MEJ, KG0PL. Andy Coley, nice to have you here. Loves the globe. It is nice. I love it too. Really, really nice. I sometimes take it down. When I'm listening to shortwave, sometimes I take it down because I love, I've got a big world map there on the wall, and it's really nice. It's cool to look at a map, and I think every shack or every radio cave should have a nice map of the world. But there's something about a globe that suddenly makes you realize, and I'm not not that the world is not flat. Maybe that's why they think the earth is flat, because of the wall maps. But it gives you a different perspective. So like the other night I was listening to Radio New Zealand 13840, and you're there and it's on the other side, and you're like, wow, the signal goes all around here, and it's kind of cool. It's more of it kind of hits you more for some reason. James Bowers, nice to have you on board from New Hampshire, KC1ENJ. Nice to have everybody here. What else do we have? Terry Cook, nice to have you on board, KF7BQ. Degen, I decoded my first weather facts today. It was a total pain to get the software and my sound card configured. It took me 3 hours, but in the end, it worked. Well, at least there's a good thing to that. A good point to that is that, you haven't worked just for nothing. You finally did it, and it finally worked. Fastload, nice to have you here from Montreal. James Stadel, nice to have you here from Indiana, USA. Laird, Nigel Lawrence, have a new Magloop aerial, comes with masked wideband coverage. Cool. Still waiting for my K180 antenna. Hope to get it maybe next week. Catalin says, I prepared some loops for MLA30 from Litz copper wire, 6 millimeter, with the length of 1 meter, 1.5, 2, and 3 for portable use. Interesting. Give us the results. Jacques Del, 73. Nice to have you here from Belgium, Jacques. Terry Cook says 7QP, US 7th call sign area QSO party, May 2nd and 3rd. Well, that's going to be an interesting one to chase. Glenn Zekman, nice to have you on board. Bobby Burgess, did you once, had a Freddy that you gave to Fastload? Yes, Fastload has it. I think he's using it as a pen adapter for the Kenwood R5000. Plus 0, nice to have you on board. Will there be a test? A test? No tests. Nice to have you here. John Bolton, happy May Day from KE0 PCI in Denver, Colorado. Icadarius drinking pink lemonade. By the way, real men drink pink lemonade. Haha. Got no problem with that. Who's afraid of pink? Come on, guys. John Bolton says, we all have maps to remind us that it's a small world after all. Yeah, absolutely. It's technically small, I mean, in the schemes of the universe, we're very tiny. Arthur's Out of Crafter's Kitchen says, Alex Jones likes a map because he thinks the world is flat. Then again, he can keep his tin hat on a globe. Paulo Blanco, nice to have you here. DV7MOV. Nice to have you on board. Northern Dawn's got Radio Algérienne on 9510 kilohertz. Let's check it out here. 9510. Anything here? So I've got something weak. Interesting signals on 31 meters. What's on 9490? I gotta check what's 9490. And that, it's interesting. I've been noticing that EIBI space.de has been updating the schedules almost every day. Last update, May 1st. Wow. It's so funny because I just heard coronavirus. Whatever language you're listening to on a shortwave broadcast, they're talking about coronavirus. It's like that. It's the only word they have no other word in their own language for. It's coronavirus. So 9490 is, what are we? We're 20 hours. Oh, it's the Voice of America. Coronavirus. It's the Voice of America, and it's in Hausa to West Africa from Sao Tome transmitter site. So it's a Monday to Friday broadcast in Hausa, which is a African language. And obviously talking about coronavirus. 9490. So Sao Tome. Nice. That is nice. Anything else here? It's on oops. So 9460. I think 9460 is Turkey. Yeah, Voice of Turkey in Turkish to Europe. 9460 coming in quite well too. 9460. Let's there's a 9655. Sounds almost like Turkish music. 9655 at this time is Radio Algérienne. Radio Algérienne 9655 coming in from France transmitter site. 9655, and they're having some music right now. So Radio Algérienne 9655. Quite a few signals. 31 meter band looks to be pretty good tonight. On bands. Esteban, nice to have you here from the Canary Islands. Dijon received 3 QSLs from Radio Japan today. Was totally surprised as May 1st is a national holiday in Germany. And there not only is no postal service because no one is at work. Cool. Rifleman 336, still waiting on my shortwave call from SWARL. It's been a month. 2 things for those that apply for a call. Mine took about a month, I believe, a month. Make sure that the email they sent you isn't in the spam folder of your email, because there's been a lot of people reporting that the response with the certificate went into the spam folder. And the other thing about the call sign, SWARL.org, is that you can check. You can check if you can check your shortwave call sign and search to see if they have issued your call sign. So here's the database. I'm just gonna share the page. Anybody that has submitted info for their own call signs, there's a Google Docs spreadsheet page. And so what you need to remember is basically pretty much when it was issued. So if it's already issued, search for your name in the list here. And what you could do from this page is show the certificate. So on the right side, it says show certificate. So just in case, Rifleman 336, here we go here. And check the list to see if by any chances you're not in there, and you'll see your own certificate. Mika Delmage says, "Beer me." Nice to have you here. I'll screw drive you. That sounds so weird. With vodka and orange juice. Giuseppe, nice to have you here, my friend Giuseppe. That is located. I completely lost my page here. Giuseppe Barbera, nice to have you here. So from Italy, nice to have you on board, my friend. What else do we have? Tom DX in Windows 10. Can anyone tell me how to run one program on my laptop screen and a different program on the monitor attached to my laptop via DVI cable? Technically, it should detect that there's a second display. And so what you can just do is, in general, by default, it's extended. So you open the program, you take the window from the top, you click on the top window, and you just drag it to the other screen. PLF Radio says 9,800 kilohertz. He's listening to what's the World's Last Chance broadcast that is usually from WBCQ from Warferton, UK. $93.30 booming, says Northern Dawn. I haven't checked 93.30 here. Yeah, it's there. It's not very strong, but it's there. Definitely there on the waterfall. Matt just made some fresh squeezed lemonade. Nothing quite like it, especially when it's 30 degrees outside. For sure. Rennie Charbonnier says, we now have great conditions on 11 meters. We've made nice contacts in recent days. Cool. Polyestep, nice to have you here. We're all doing radio stuff, talking about radio. Brent, nice to have you here from Brockville, Ontario, Canada. Rufus, 9655 booming in. PLF Radio, very strong, 9460. Catalan, any words on Duga 2 radar? Well, if you're talking about the old style radars, the antennas are still up. Nothing much happening with those anymore. Larry P, nice to have you here from Georgia. Joe Rodman, 9655 is only S5 in Chicago on the satellite 800 in ham vertical. Rufus Newt, 9460 is great. Dax Fodder, 74, nice to have you here from Germany. Ralph Bender, nice to have you here, Ralph, from Germany. Jay Brendan, nice to have you here, my friend. 9655 sounding pretty good in Toronto. Cool. Joe Sombra Newhouse, Radio Nacional Amazona has a cool old style 50s music on Saturday nights. Well, we're going to check that out. It's funny because at times, now it's not the same music, but at times, I don't know why, it's the feel of the music or the station. It sometimes reminds me of HCJB in some ways. It's interesting. I'm located in Montreal, Quebec, Canada. Mike, WDX50 says his call sign from 1980. Wow. Okay, so it hasn't been updated in a while. Yeah, maybe it's maybe what's happening is kind of creating a problem. With their own. Who's on 9675? That is Saudi Arabia. That's Saudi Arabia, broadcasting of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia on 9675. Sean Harvey sharing a great list of upcoming ham radio contests. They are, contestcalendar.com. They're listed by month with links to each contest. There's a lot of stuff in there. Broadcast Monitor. Nice to have you on board from, I believe, nice to have you here. Matt, Radio Romania, good on 13650. Let's check it out. Yep. About 11850. It's weaker on 11850. Radio Romania 13650. Definitely very good. Romania, pretty good in English. Catalan, FT8 on 17 meters is coming in very well tonight. How come? Should it be that the upgraded BNC and short coax? Nope. Propagation. In one big word, propagation. And as we get into longer days of summer, that will change a lot of what we listen to at night. 20 meters has been open pretty much all night now. I've been listening. I tuned to 20 meters 2 days ago, I think 2 or 3 days ago at like 11 p.m. local, which was 03 UT. And wow, the sun is coming out. Almost, if it wasn't for a chance of rain, it would have been nice to do the show from outside. It's longer days and all of that is making things better. And there's quite a few sunspots on the sun right now. We have John Fisher, KC1FTJ. Nice to have you here, my friend. Says, got my coffee and enjoying the show. Stay well and take care. So enjoy your coffee. Hope you're enjoying the show. It's nice to know John Fisher is watching. Nice to have you here, John. As usual, always say hello. Nice to know you're watching. It's always nice to have everybody watching from around the world, actually. PLF Radio's got a great signal of 9330 WBCQ, World's Last Chance from Monticello, Maine. David, KJ4CMO, only screwdrivers he's got is in the toolbox. Rogerio Rocha, nice to have you here, my friend, from the Azores. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. Keegan is listening with his Ethon Grundig Edition Field BT radio and internal antenna, and his Ethon Grundig Edition satellite radio with single sideband. I want to do some. I'm going to be taking out my my good old Grundig satellite transistor 6001 tomorrow, and beautiful day, and tuning the bands with it. Maybe even tonight. It's been a few weeks since I haven't turned it on, so let's use that old radio. It's really nice to play around with, and it's really nice to have these old receivers. It is fun to play around with an old radio. I mean, there's something about the old radios that isn't there on the new ones, If you're like me, particularly, I miss the days of big radios. It was kind of fun. You had something, had a big radio. And I mean, the radios today are really cool. I mean, the XH Data D808 is amazing. I was playing around with the this afternoon a little bit with the Ethon Traveler 3 Grenadier Edition, small little portable. They're amazing devices. I mean, they are really amazing, but they are small, and it's like you got that small thing in your hand, It's kind of not as the same as one big chunk of a radio. Northern Dawn is getting Voice of Korea on 12015. Wow. Really, really nice. What else do we have? Radio R1 R the Radio R108. That's what you're talking about, right? Radio Wow R108. R108. That is I guess that's what you're mentioning here. Great little radio for the price. You're gonna be happy. You're gonna be happy. Lee Burkett, Chill, I've noticed that a lot of the stations from Shortwave's golden age are slowly disappearing, but I still find many to listen to. Well, there's not a lot of stations going away right now, so it's kind of nice, We're kind of stabilized in the shortwave world with stations going away or not, and let's cross our fingers. Not too many, There was I was listening to the Mailbag Show from Radio Romania the other day, and in the Mailbag Show there was a Jean-Michel Aubier from France, which is a well-known DXer, and he wrote a letter to them, and he was saying that he wishes and he hopes that Radio Romania keeps shortwave for a long time to come, because what he was saying, that what he's scared is that someday somebody's going to want to pull the plug. Thomas Kitts, nice to have you on board from Michigan. John Bolton says, I finally got my MLA30. Shipping took forever with the pandemic. It's not a Plus version. But you know what? It's still a good antenna. You're still going to have a great antenna. I mean, it is still a great antenna. You're going to be really happy with it. PLF Radio 9730, Voice of Vietnam in French, which is, I believe, to Europe. That really never makes it here. Lee John says 12030, Radio Nacional de España, very strong. Liam, can a loop, HF loop, work okay indoors? It can if it's not too noisy. I know a lot of people use the MLA30, and they use it near a window indoors, and they have great results with it. PLF Radio's got 12030, Radio Stereo España also. 12030 usually comes in here. 12030. And yep. It's not super strong, but it's there. Lots of interesting signal on 25-meter band also. I have more noise today than usual. Eric Cottrell, sunny out here as well. Cool. Simplio, nice to have you here, my friend. G. Britton says 12030, receiving well in Toronto. Eddie Essex, nice to have you on board. 20 meters has been open until midnight in Ontario lately. Yeah, that's sign of summer. It's going to be pretty much an all-nighter in the next weeks. Usually June and July are it's almost 24 hours for 20 meters. Eric Cottrell says, hello, John Fisher. Broadcast monitor, Voice of Korea noted today in French, German, and English that Kim Jong-un does work. Huh. It's going to be interesting to see. We have really, really nothing of news of what's happening over there. Ben Kim 1, good day. KD9ERS, nice to have you here. KD9ERS. PLF Radio's got strong voice of Greece. Let's try it out. 9420. Yep, pretty good. Very strong. Very strong. Voice of Greece, 9420 with some Greek music. Hubert Major, nice to have you on board, my friend. Simply also happy about a new laptop yesterday. Nice HP Pavilion 15. It's pretty fast. Cool. Oh, I love it, Fastlo. The Grundig is really nice. I'm still amazed at how precise that radio is for its time. You know, showing that when you do things right and take the time to do it right, it really is amazing. So, and I want to use it because what happens with radios is when you don't use them, especially those older radios, the switches come scratchy if you don't use them enough. So by using them, it kind of helps make them more else the contact work better. Catalin says, show from outside, even the balcony with live bird songs in the background. Soon is going to happen. I mean, we're getting there. So in May, usually we start having one of those, a few of those days. But you know, it's interesting. It's kind of cool for this time of the year. And I was looking like long-term weather, like 2 weeks in advance. And for now, even the month of May looks to be quite cool. JH, nice to have you on board. Do you know the broadcaster on 13845? Where they exactly located? It's my beacon station for North America. Q2H is North Germany. Yep. 13845 is WCR, and they are located in near Nashville, Tennessee, in the USA. This one is usually an always very strong signal here. And I hear it right now. Discernment and hopefully a little bit of 13845 WWCR. They're broadcasting just outside of Nashville, Tennessee, USA. Hunters out of Crafter's Kitchen discovered the secret to good AC power on Grundig Satellite 800, a regulated power supply, and the Farad choke on the power cord. Original AC was unregulated and okay, but runs hot. So yeah, they're not always. You know, that's the sad part of what I see in many radios. The ones that come with power supplies, they don't always give you the best power supply. Sometimes they just throw something that has the ratings to make the device work, and that's it. But some of them create so much noise on the radios. DGen Brother Stair Scream around 5900. Yeah, that one is from Bulgaria, usually in the 5900 from Bulgaria. Looks 474 waiting now 5 months for his INRAD 6 kilohertz filter. Wow, that is a long wait. Sam Outdoors 26CT2197. Nice to have you on board from England. Hope you're well too. PLF Radio 11810 is BBC World Service. And I got it here. It's not very strong. I hear it better when it comes from Ascension Islands in the South Atlantic Ocean. But 12095 isn't too bad. That one is from Ascension Islands in the South Atlantic Ocean. 12095 isn't bad at all. We are having the news on the BBC. 12095. Like Broadcast Monitor says, well, there's a lot, you know, relays. It's always going to be a controversial subject for a lot of people, because there's always some people that don't like the fact that you relay a station, because they like the fact that they want to listen to a station from a country of origin. And I understand. I mean, when Radio Prague was from the Czech Republic, of course it was more fun to listen to, in a way, for DXing purposes, because you were listening to a signal from Europe. Now it's from WRMI, and that creates a lot of I don't know how many times people, I mean, I understand there's DXers, there's, I'm a mix of both. I'm a mix of a DXer and program listener. I do like listening to programs also. As a DXer, yeah, it was fun to listen to, Radio Slovakia and Radio Prague from Europe. But as a program listener, and also kind of, I kind of try, and I'm here on this channel doing this. I tend to want to promote shortwave, and one way of promoting shortwave is to have something to listen to. And in North America, we have to be fair. WRMI, with its different relays, is helping the hobby in a way, because it's helping giving out good signals and maintaining some of these stations that would not be there. Radio Slovakia and Radio Prague would not be on shortwave anymore if it wasn't for a relay from WRMI, which is kind of cool. And honestly, there's so many transmitters and airtime available in WRMI. I wish more stations would actually use that opportunity to fill the airwaves with their broadcast. I mean, there are stations out there that would be nice, even if it would be a local station. Like going around. If I be the owner of WRMI, I would almost want to talk to other broadcasters around the world and say, we have something that is shortwave, and we can, for a very decent price, we can rebroadcast your transmissions over North America or Europe using our transmitter site. I'm sure we'd be surprised at the number of broadcasters that could be tempted to do so if they knew about it. A lot of people don't. A lot of stations don't know that these relays exist. What else do we have? Rolf Bender, Radio Tirana, 15770 via WRMI. So yeah, 15770 has different relays usually of different stations. Now it's back to Brother Stare, but there's quite a few relays. Now it's Brother Stare that just, I think Radio Tirana was like 2030. So Joe Rutman, WRMI is on 9455. Joe Rutman, 9460, which we were earlier, was Turkey. That's now off. It really is 9455 for with some music, lots of music on 9455 at this time. So it's 9455 for WRMI, Joe. You're a little off frequency. What else do we have? PLF Radio, Radio France International, a great signal. Let's check it out here. It's one of the frequencies I hear regularly. It's a little noisy today, but I'm hearing it. 7205 for Radio France International. Joe Rudman, 9455. Booming in, S9 plus 30. Legion 13845, quite also quite well in Germany. Graham Taplin, MLA 30 and MLA 30 Plus both work near a window indoors. So yeah, a lot of people, it's here in my office, it's kind of tough, but a lot of people using them are having great results. Absolutely using them indoors. So, for somebody that doesn't have a lot of space, I think that's a great alternative, a great possibility. People that live in an apartment, in condos, there's a lot of restrictions, a lot of the people out there, the tenants and all of that are often don't want to have outdoor antennas or of anything, and basically um, basically it's difficult to have anything to listen to because you don't have any outdoor antennas. Apartments, condos, and all of that, especially when it's a high density environment, are difficult to it's difficult to listen to anything because there's a lot of noise, and you can't put anything outside. You're kind of doomed. It's a sad it's a sad thing, because when you come from an era like mine, when listening to your favorite station on shortwave was from your living room, favorite chair in the living room, you know to I was almost laughing the other day because I was testing the portable receivers, making videos. And you guys don't see where I do them because I usually just take the radio in the field of view of the camera. But the only place I can actually use a portable receiver decently with its telescopic antenna is in my kitchen, near the near the back door window. So when I actually have the video of that little radio on the surface, that is actually the surface of my dishwasher. So the other day I was like jammed in the corner of my kitchen with the portable radios because I wanted to have decent reception on telescopic, and it's pretty much the only place in the house that has decent reception on telescopic. So I was like doing the videos, and I'm like, oh man, I should make a video of I am like this next to the door and looking at the portable, and it's like, yeah, it's working well with the telescopic when you punch in the frequencies, and it works great. That's the behind the scenes video I should make. It's like, here's the behind the scenes of what it looks like when I do stuff. And from time to time, there are moments where you do these videos and you're like, that would be a decent moment for a behind the scenes of the official Shortwave channel. PF Radio, Vatican Radio, 7360. Let's check it out. 7360. That's also one I hear of sometimes. Oh, that one's good. Better. Seven three six zero. Vatican Radio. It's been coming in not too bad, around 1630, 1700 UT ish, somewhere around there. On 15565, it's been making it with a decent signal in the past couple of weeks. Keegan has 9455, S3 out of S5, two S5 out of S9 on the satellite radio. What else do we have? Legion, I feel like propagation is very good today. WRMI is coming in so well. Let me check. I don't know if they've updated the numbers, but we have 3 sunspots on the sun right now. And so solar flux is at 70. K index is at 0, which is the best it could be. When the K index is at 0, usually Our the geomagnetic field is very quiet, and solar flux is a 70, but there's 3 little spots on the sun. They're really small, but you know what? It's better than 0. And I've noticed that even a small sunspot often has an effect on radio propagation. So it could explain our great propagation we have. This week, at least 2 nights, this week, I've had amazing signal out of Radio New Zealand, 13840. I've been really amazed at how good the signal was. Around 0330 to 04 hours UT is when it actually maxes out to the strongest signal before it starts going back down. Funniest part is last night I tuned 13840 and it was almost nothing there. So last night something on the propagation side was happening for sure. Iran 61, nice to have you here. Happy cocktail hour. Nice to have you on board, my friend. Really nice to have you on board. What else do we have? Simplio. Yeah, there was a B flare. There was it's a very small flare. Has very little effect, but one of the spots did flare up a little bit. Mike, WDX50, didn't WRNO rebroadcast some international broadcasters also? I would be dreaming this. I remember WRNO doing something at one point, but right now it's just religious stuff. Levi Nathan, nice to have you here from Israel. EA3 IEK Raptor 22 Stealth. Nice to have you on board, David, from Barcelona, Spain. Hope you are all right over there. Says, was they just able to make a complete FT8 QSO with a Chinese ham station? Something that I've been pursuing for quite some times. That is great. Cool. PLF Radio, Voice of America, 9740. Let's check it out here from Wolverton, UK. I've been hearing that one a couple of times. Yeah. French. It's in French. It's in French. Legion, really hope 7780 comes today because the voice of the report of the week. I listened to him last night at 02 UT on 5850. Actually, was finishing touches to the messenger bulletin for CIDX, and I was listening to Voice of Report of the Week, 5850, 02 UT. Gaetan Belil, nice to have you on board. A little visit before supper, cool. And thank you for the donation, Gaetan. It was appreciated. Brent, the number watching today is getting up there. Yep, 170-ish. That's not bad at all. Our record was what? 217, I think, right? Something like 217 or 207 was the record of amount of viewers at one time. Pretty cool. Take care, Dexfire 74. Stay safe, my friend. Bobby Burgess. REE, still RNE. Yep. They are not coming back. They haven't announced anything about coming back for now to Radio Exterior España programs, French, English, and so on. So they're still just Radio Nacional España broadcast. Like India, All India Radio is still not back on shortwave with any international broadcasting right now. So, Mark the Weather, Nice to have you here. ON3WDW, MDW, ON3MDW. Working FT8 on 10 meter, wide open. So that's pretty cool. 73, my friend. So he's on 10 meters. ON3MDW. Brent says, wow, great propagation tonight. Yep, absolutely. Pretty amazing. Pretty amazing. Let's enjoy while it's there. Let's enjoy while it's there. Get up a little as the crow flies. Maribel Airport, 15 kilometers from my home tonight. Will land the largest cargo plane in the world around 8:30 p.m. It hasn't landed yet. Wow, it's still late, I guess. So yeah, they are waiting for that Antonov plane to land. Liam, where's Mr. Paul? Sleeping in the living room, I believe. He was in his. No, he was sleeping. So I get good food boxes, and inside they have a cardboard that one side is aluminum kind of covering, and he's been enjoying sleeping on it like a mat. And I don't know if it's because the aluminum kind of reflects back some of the heat when he sleeps on it, but he's been enjoying sleeping on that. So that's what he was doing now. Nothing like a box. I mean, you want to have some really cool stuff for your cat, just get a box, and he's happy. It's just funny. In the kitchen, I made a tunnel. One of the boxes is a tunnel. And when he wants to play, sometimes he comes and meows at me, and he hides in the tunnel, and he wants me to play with him in the tunnel. So it's like, I grab him one side and grab him on the other side, and he's just like, we're having fun. But it's so funny because every time he goes in the kitchen, rather than using just going into the kitchen, he has to go through the tunnel in the kitchen. And he comes out of the kitchen, he goes to eat, he comes back, he goes through the tunnel and comes back in the living room. It's just funny. René Charbonnier, take care, my friend, and see you on Facebook. Absolutely. Always fun to have you on board. Ricardo Silva, nice to have you on board from Portugal. So, yeah, listen to the communications. Absolutely, Geta. Absolutely. Eddie Essex says, I hit European and Asiatic Russia 7 times last night from Southwest Ontario on 20 meter FT8. I'm not surprised. What's happening at this time also is that because the North Pole now is constantly in sunlight, a lot of the signals coming from Europe and from Russia are coming over the North Pole, and pretty much all night now. So that's the cool thing of living higher latitudes and listening to these frequencies. I'm going to DX some 20 meters tonight a little bit, see what I'm going to hear. Dejan's never heard 5850 in Germany. I think antennas are aimed to North America. Yeah, 5850 is actually aimed to the western part of North America, I believe. So it's kind of aiming away from Europe. John Bolton, question. Is there a difference in music licensing for broadcast AM and shortwave stations? Based on my listening, it seems like they are less restricted than broadcast FM stations, or maybe they are not being watched. Shortwave stations do not have the same rules. So when WBCQ or WRMI or WTWW plays music, they are not... they don't have to pay the royalties like AM, FM stations do. So they can play what they want. It doesn't have... the rules do not apply on shortwave. So that's why they play music all the time, because they don't have to pay nothing. They just have to pay the transmitter power and fire away. Where AM and FM stations have to pay the royalties for what they actually play on the air. Larry Massey, nice to have you here. Noticed on your waterfall how well it delineates the signal. Mine is never that precise. How can I improve mine? Um, what do you mean exactly? And you mean and how well the signal is defined and visible? Because I play with the contrast. I play with the colors of the software, the contrast, to try to make the signal easily visible in the background. Because you could play with the different colors and the contrast of that of the signals you see in the waterfall, and you play with it until you see that the signals are easier to see within the background. That's what I do, if that's what you mean. Djan says channel 292 is such a great station, but the transmitter is only 60 kilometers away, so most of the time signal skips. Yeah. Catalin was also listening to FT8 on 10 meters. Cool. Sephiroth86, nice to have you here. Liam says, anybody use an AOR LA400 loop? I believe some people do. I've seen that in the past. Rufus says, boxes are cat traps. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Degen says, incredible, 3955 works for me. I'm so happy right now because normally channel, yeah. Well, the lower the frequency, Degen, the less of the skip zone. So that doesn't surprise me. You hear 3955. You might even be hearing, it might even be working on ground waves sometimes. John Bolton says, foil covered box is the DX body heat radiator. Yep, pretty much. Pretty much. Sephiroth 86, listening to 3955. It was also before KBS World Radio. Simplio says there's going to be a lot of happy shortwave listeners when they notice that their SDR play or RTL SDR with upconverted notice the waterfall is brighter than it was. Rufus Newt, Paul sleeps on foil to keep out all the Alex Jones signals. Kamang Z 1976. Nice to have you here. Says we bought a cat playpen for our cat and her kittens. She hates it and wants to go back into her cardboard box. Pretty much. That's pretty much the way the cats work. Gaetan Belil, I never think about that. The waves directly from north. Yep. These are some parts of propagation. That's some parts of propagation, because remember that, you know, an example of that is, especially in low solar activity, you know, sometimes in very in some very high solar activity, there could be some effects that make it, but in low solar activity like now, I mean, 20 meters, 14 megahertz is in the darkness, doesn't propagate. And what happens is that because we're not that far away from the North Pole, being in sunlight and being capable of reflecting, and it's going to get better as the sun gets even higher in June. But the signals reflected off the ionosphere from the North Pole are actually falling back down over here in North America. So you might think, and you know, I get people sometimes that say, hey, how come I'm hearing 20 meters at midnight? Isn't that a frequency that doesn't work at night? And I'll always say, well, that's because the way that signals are. You gotta remember one thing. It's not, you know, you could be on 10 meters. So say that I'm on 10 meters and 10 meters open, I'm hearing a station from California, and the sun here is set, 2 hours ago. Somebody's going to say, well, it's darkness. How come you're getting 10 meters? And I'm talking about regular propagation, not sporadic E-skip and stuff like that. And basically, what you find out is that, well, part of North America is still in sunlight. So 10 meters is still propagating through that portion of sunlight still. And the signal's falling back down over here. And that's it. These are things that are useful sometimes in propagation and understanding why we actually hear something. Simplio says WTWW5085 enjoys playing music for us. Yep. Northern Dawn, who's the furthest up north? Well, it's not me, that's for sure. Because I'm 45 north. And I know you guys in the UK are a higher latitude than me. So it would be, maybe somebody from a Nordic country. Unless we have somebody from Nunavut. Ricardo Silva, waves over the pole. Yep. PLF Radio, take care. Fais attention à toi, la prochaine. Yeah, bags are cat traps too. Absolutely. Mark Alford, nice to have you here. Had to move again. And my new apartment has a screaming HF noise. I thought my last apartment was bad. If I move again, I will bring my shortwave radio to see how bad the noise is. Yeah. Trond, nice to have you here. How are you, my friend? From Norway. So he's probably right now our winner of being north. Trond in Norway, the highest latitude. I don't know if anybody is higher in latitude than he is. That's for sure. Catalin, the shadow of your webcam on the QSL card, I thought, is the medium wave Texan ferrite T antenna. Yeah, I saw the shadow and I thought, oh, this is so weird and mysterious. People are just gonna try to, scratch their heads. What's that shadowy thing? Oh man. Legion says 3955 so strong and without fading ground wave reception. Yeah, that's possible. Northern Dawn 15770 getting better. 11820. Yep, Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia. 11820. Absolutely. It's usually coming in the wall and at this time here. Pretty much all afternoon. Yep. Pretty good signal. 11820, Saudi Arabia. David, KJ4CMOI says, let's give Jill a thumbs up. What else do we have? It's nice to have everybody on board. Really cool to have everybody here. And what else do we have? Nothing more. Nothing more. So let's check it out here. So we'll talk a little bit about software-defined receivers. So software-defined receivers are popular. I use one. I like it. And we, of course, have questions from, of course, Robert in Roswell, New Mexico. So his questions, simply put, are, first of all, what makes a software-defined radio appealing? So he's fond of radios with, self-contained radios with buttons, and that's what he likes. And what happens is that, for a long time, for example, I used my ICOM ICRD 500. I use a lot of portable radios and stuff. What really makes appealing an SDR, and honestly, it is one of the, it will appeal to two types of people. It'll appeal for any radio guy that is also a computer geek, because you put together two things that the person loves. So the radio and the computer together. And for some people, that is even more interesting because now you've got the perfect setup, But a lot of people are not necessarily that, tech enthusiasts or anything, but they will like SDRs or software defined radios for another aspect, and it's the visual aspect. The fact that you can see such a large swap of spectrum. I could go in the settings there and change that to 10 megahertz. You will see 10 megahertz wide of signals. This is kind of cool when you think about it. And the visual aspect is what really turns me on a lot on SDR. Is the fact that we can see signals everywhere. It means I can see, if I'm looking at the screen, signals popping up. I like to say very often, one of the things that I love on the SDR is the fact that there are so many signals I would have missed completely with a regular receiver. And the only reason I knew they existed and the signal were there is because I could see it pop up on the display. And of course, being curious, you click and you look at what's that. So there's a lot of signals out there that are I would never have seen or never have listened to, and I would have completely missed, because in a regular radio you don't see that, so you don't know that something just started maybe near a frequency you're listening to. But unless you tune around and by accident fall on that signal, forget it. You're not getting it. So that is probably the number one aspect of all of that. If it was just the fact that I would tune one frequency like a regular radio on these things, I would not be using that. I would be back on the ICOM or with another receiver for a one frequency thing. I would not see the advantage of using a computer. But the waterfall is the main attraction. It's the main thing. Having all of those signals together and seeing what's happening on all of the bands. And there are things that you see there that are just amazing, I'm always surprised and amazed when you see that ionosound radar, that little ionosound thing, go and sweep through the frequency ranges. And you see it go through the waterfall. And you're like, wow, look at that. Look at that signal go. It's like, you have a visual of what for a long time, the only thing you would hear is a little tweep. You're listening to a shortwave broadcast. You hear a little tweep. That's it. It took, it went there for like a tenth of a second. You notice there was something, but that's it. Well, that ionosound just passed through the signal you were listening to. But now here you see it, or you see it on the left side approaching, and you're like, oh, it's approaching and approaching. A few times I even followed it because I was curious, how far is it going in the spectrum, and how far will I be able to receive it? Some of them sweep the full 30 megahertz range, and what's nice is you follow it, and you could see it fade slowly as you move into the frequencies higher and higher. And at some point, you're like, oh, that's pretty much where I'm losing it in the propagation. It's kind of cool, So there's a lot of nice sides to SDRs that are really, really cool for that reason. The visual aspect of an SDR is truly amazing. And, I got to say, I fell in love with the SDR for that reason. Now I have a visual of everything around me, which is so much better than having just one radio on a frequency and not knowing what's around it. Nicolas Milnes, nice to have you here, my friend. Take care, Gaëtan Bellil. Fais attention à toi. À la prochaine. Rodolphus65 says, fired up the Fedri LAN IQ SDR with the U-loop passive antenna and am picking up a ham radio operator from Barcelona, Spain. Cool. What frequency you're listening to, Rodolfo? Liam Connellan says, how do you up down frequencies travel far off million miles? Do you use antenna and wait 30 minutes still waiting? Big antennas, but some more small, tiny frequencies. You mean like the radio waves from spaceships or stuff like that? These typically, radio waves, whatever frequency you're using, all travel at pretty much the speed of light. So it's a question of waiting. If you are millions of miles from a transmitter, you'll have to wait the time required for that signal to arrive because of the speed of light limit. And Northern Dawn seeing Venus. Yeah, Venus. It's at its brightest this week, actually, Venus, by the way. In about a month's time, it's already going to be very low and almost gone. Steve Miller used to be dials before buttons. Absolutely, Steve. And there still are on some radios. Jerry DX, nice to have you here, my friend. Ricardo Silva, besides the Argentinian LRA 36 on Gabriel, is there any other regular shortwave from Antarctica? The most regular shortwave is that station, LRA 36 on 15476. There isn't any other regular broadcasts from Antarctica. But there are some amateur stations that go there to the different scientific bases in Antarctica. But LRA 36 is pretty much the only regular Antarctic station, basically. It'd be nice to have like a big, powerful Antarctic shortwave broadcast. Radio Antarctica International. So what else do we have? Wind radio. Yeah, those are older. The wind radios are older technologies. I never really, actually, I remember there were some reviews in the Passport to Broadband Radio. And maybe I've seen a couple of wind radio reviews in the World Radio TV Handbook. They seem to be good. From most of the reviews I remember from, they seem to be pretty good radios, but they are very expensive. And I have a hard time today, okay, there's an edge, and I think if you've got the money and you want to have the best of the best, yeah, okay. I understand you want to have the best of the best, and maybe that little edge is going to give you a possibility of listening or hearing something at some point. But with the prices of, SDR Play, RSP devices, for example, and how well they perform, I have a hard time telling people to buy stuff that's very expensive now. It's like the MLA30 antenna. You can tell me how well your Wellbrook goes or how well the W6LVP loop goes. And that one I know because I have one. I will still tell everybody buy an MLA30. It's not worth it. The difference doesn't make the price difference worth it on a bigger antenna. I got a W6LVP loop here, and you know what? I'm taking it down. I'm going to put the K180 antenna when I get it at the place of the W6LVP loop, because W6LVP loop is on my Yaesu here right now. It's there. and it performs okay. But I can't, you know, it's not better than MLA30. It is for me pretty much the same. What else do we have? Catalan, what is that signal that is shifting away? I have seen it. Ionosun, Iono sound. Ionosound. It's a propagation type radar. So what it does is it sends a signal to the ionosphere and sweeps the frequency range of shortwave. And receiver is getting back the echo, if you want. So it can actually detect what are the frequencies that are good for propagation. So that's that's the little signals you see sweeping regularly on the shortwave bands. And they are there to kind of choose the best shortwave signals at a specific time. By the way, there was a very interesting article about how apparently earthquakes and tsunamis affect the ionosphere. I remember when there was an earthquake, there was a ham radio operator that was mentioning that he was seeing some effects on shortwave and signals. And I thought, you know, it's kind of weird, but apparently some of the studies being done are showing that, you know what, there's something there. The earthquakes are affecting the ionosphere also. David KJ4CMY, I used to use an Iona sound when I was on active duty in the Air Force in Germany. It was really cool. It is really cool, honestly. 14218. Is it the EA3 station? There was that I heard him yesterday and this afternoon. I'm just gonna leave it there for a second. I hear a station a little higher. Did he say X-ray Echo 1? X-ray Echo 1, there's a station from Mexico on 14220. X-ray Echo 1 from Mexico. Mad Reader DXer says another good thing about SDRs is how easy it is to decode digital signals. Also being able to record parts of the band to monitor later. Absolutely. Yeah. Mexico City station, 14220, X-ray Echo 1 station in Mexico City, Mexico. Coming in. Kind of nice. We don't hear Mexico that often on the bands, at least here. Rufus Newt, tomorrow's astronomy day. Oh, cool. Catalin says, is it really no difference in speed between a ELV signal and a millimeter wave signal? There's difference in speed depending on where the wave is going. So, for example, an electromagnetic wave in a very, very low frequency range sent to submarines, the water has an effect on its speed, and it is less than the speed of light. The environment around it will change the speed of the signals. But in a perfect environment, whatever frequency you choose, an electromagnetic signal will go to the speed of light, whatever frequency you tune, whatever frequency you're sending that signal. Donald Hosmer says, I like my com radio CR1 for travels, or 1A for travel. I take an AOR LA400 loop and a long wire to parks. Cool. Roughest Newt. Actually, I don't know. I was thinking of maybe installing the W6 LVP in the backyard. Mad Radio DXer. So Iono sound is like a sonar for propagation. Kind of. I mean, it's the signal being reflected by the ionosphere and sent back. It's kind of like a radar type, but it's in frequency. It's an electromagnetic radio frequency spectrum. But we can say that. We can say that. It's kind of like a radar, but that is there to ping the ionosphere and see all the frequencies that it actually will bring back. So I would think that the way it must work is there's the transmitter that sweeps, and the receiver probably is following the sweep, so that the receiver is receiving that sweep all the time. And it's probably very technologically advanced today, SDR style, where you probably see graphs and stuff of all the signal that came back. Take care, Rolf Bender. It was nice to have you on board. Stay safe. Shelly, nice to have you on board from Pennsylvania. Graham Taplin, given good propagation, you can pick up Spain on the XH Data D808 with the WAVE antenna. Absolutely. You can pick up the world on an XH Data D808. If Radio Australia was still there, you would pick it up. I mean, when the propagation's good, to give you an idea, last summer, and I should try it one night and make a video when propagation's good. When I hear Radio New Zealand on 13840 on this thing, I should take out a couple of my portable radios and tune 13840 on telescopic, and I'm pretty sure in the best case scenario they're going to receive Radio New Zealand. Crittenden Tuttle 4 got a split to the doctor. So take care of yourself, my friend. Nice to have you here. The Air Spy U-Loop arrived. Woohoo! More fun. More fun. What else do we have? Yeah, XC1 is Mexico. Ruffleman 336 Ale, automatic link establishment used by NATO forces, puts out continuous sounding data pulses to find the best frequency and power level to conduct communications without operator intervention. That's cool. That's cool. It's like, the CODAR, these ocean wave and ocean current radars that are kind of cool. They're sweeping all the time, and people are like, what's that sweeping thing on the frequencies? That's also something nice about SDRs, is that you see the type of signal. There's a visual of how the signal looks, which is also kind of nice and sometimes intriguing. Catalan, would be great if SDR Play would integrate digital most directly into SDR Uno. And it should have the regular FM DAB bands. Yeah, that's a pretty complex piece of software. So I know that the next version is going to add tons of things also, but it's I rather have a software that is not too bloated with too many things, but does really well what it does, and still have to use other software. Um, you know. Dejan says my MLA30 is set to be delivered in 2 weeks. I'm really so excited for that antenna. Cool. You're gonna have a lot of fun. Catalin, D808 or C-Crane SSB? Let's just say that price versus performance versus radio, D808. But both radios are great. Both radios are great. The C-Crane Skywave SSB is really nice. I would like it if it had a little better audio, but it comes with a good set of earbuds that you can use that is pretty nice. So C-Crane SSB is very nice also. But it depends on what price versus performance you want to go to, basically. But both radios, whatever you choose, is an amazing radio. Christian Ferland, salut, mon ami de Terrebonne. Nice to have you on board, my friend. John Bolton says we need AL for selection of Wi-Fi channel in congested neighborhoods. All routers choosing the same default makes for troubleshooting weird issues without good clues. One of the biggest problems with routers also is a lot of the routers are meant to listen and choose the perfect channel. It never works. It never works. It's always on that channel where everybody is, and you're like, yeah. I still remember, when that's the fun part, when what radio waves are all about. And where the radio was. Hey, the Proud Geek, nice to have you here. For those that wonder, the Proud Geek is also known as Gabriel, my nephew. So some of you know who he is. Seen him in the past, even on this show, actually. So knowing radio waves is kind of cool, because what is nice about it is when I would go and fix computers, a lot of the things, especially with laptops or tablets, was my internet is dropping out all the time, or my internet doesn't work when I'm outside on my terrace or whatever. And then you would, the first thing I would look at is, well, maybe it's congested, and I would use my phone, and I would use an app on my phone to show, all the frequencies and all the signals. And they would look at it and they would say, oh, wow, this is so amazing. And I could tell them, I said, well, the problem is you got your routers on the same channel as all of your neighbors. And we would choose a different channel and things would be perfect, Things would be perfect. Mandrio DXer. So technically it is not like sonar, but more like the logic behind it. Yeah. Which is to get reports back by pinging the ionosphere and the whole shortwave bands for analysis or analyzing later. Yeah, absolutely. It's the same logic. And what it does is it's there to help them choose what frequency they should use at a given time. Radio Bunker, KN4TOU, nice to have you on board. AirSpy or SDR Play? I'll be honest, I have no experience on AirSpy personally. So it makes it difficult for me to tell you, is AirSpy or SDR Play one better than the other? The only thing I can say is that I know for a fact that SDR Play, the RSP1A, The RSPDX and other SDR Play devices perform well, are amazing devices, and are great. But I can't tell you if, it's the same or better or not with the AirSpy. I have to be very fair on that. I don't know if anybody has maybe an AirSpy HF Plus or whatever and a SDR Play device and can, say in the chat room what they are, if they are the same or not, or I don't know if anybody can compare. I would have to get an AirSpy HF Plus. Maybe that's what I should do. Purchase an AirSpy HF Plus and test it out. What is positive about this confinement thing is that I'm not going out anymore, so I got money to spend on radios. Man, take care, Tom DXer. It's nice to have you on board. Stay safe, and see you Wednesday. Jojo, nice to have you here from California, KM6EHD. Stay safe, and we're here to listen and learn with enjoyment. Cool. Hey, Jerry DX. No, he's back in Montreal. He lives not very far from me. He was in Australia for a few weeks for the Formula One Grand Prix. Catalin, so I have my MLA30 pointed to west with my window, and the east side is to the wall. On 20-meter FT8, I get stations from US, but none from east of Europe. But on 40 meters, it seems omnidirectional through the wall. It's more a thing of propagation. There is a bit of directional pattern on shortwave, but it's not enough for you to not hear anything on 20 meters from the east of Europe or from Europe. I think it's more a question of simply you haven't had the propagation that went with it. Yeah, his brother spent 6 months in Australia. He's been there 2 weeks for the Grand Prix. Dijon wants to know, I would be very interested in what everyone's favorite broadcaster is. Mine is KBS World Radio and Radio Taiwan International. Do I have a favorite broadcaster? I usually have a favorite broadcaster by distance. Radio New Zealand is cool because it's so far away, and when I hear it, it's kind of nice, and it's kind of a style of program I like. If I have a favorite broadcaster on shortwave, I would I would say that I am a fan of the BBC World Service, but that's an interesting one. Favorite broadcaster. I can, I like all the broadcasters. I hate saying I like this more than whatever else, honestly. Take care, Kadarius. Proud Geek making cheese macaroni with a glass of wine. Mac and cheese and wine. Yeah, it has cheese. It's like a cheese and wine thing with macaroni. Terry Cook, program PC AL will allow you to add AL to many amateur radio transceivers. Mad Radio DXer, Bluetooth uses frequency hopping to avoid interference, so I think Wi-Fi should use that as well these days, given how many homes and workplaces have wireless routers. Well, Wi-Fi 6, the new implementation of Wi-Fi, promises to be a much better implementation with how the connections work. But, here at home, I use the 5 gigahertz range because there's only one I only have one neighbor that has 5 gigahertz capability when I look at the signals around me. So that is giving me amazing performance through the house because I'm alone on 5 gigahertz when everybody's on 2.4 with my with their Wi-Fi. But sometimes it can happen. I want to switch to 2.4 because the range that I get on 5 gigahertz isn't as good as the range on 2.4. So when I go in the backyard, for example, I might lose the signal on 5. And so I connect on 2.4 and it works. Retroman 336. As a mesh net user with Linksys routers for long distance comms, 99.9% of all routers are parked on channel 1, and thus a lot of splatter corrupts the data being transmitted. Yep. Simplio, I don't understand what Intel Optane memory is. It's a different style of flash memory. Simply, it's supposed to be extremely fast, and we're not here really to talk much about that, but it stacks the information in a different way from standard flash memory. Nicholas Milnes 10715 AM number station, which is the Cuban number usually. Yeah, wow, it's strong too. Look at that. Cero, cero, cuatro, uno. So I'm relaying Cuban spy numbers. I just got it. I just got buzz on my phone. I have to relay the spy numbers. Imagine that. Brother Stare. I like the moaning sessions of Brother Stare, but he's still on, Proud Geek. Brother Stare is still on. Mad Radio DXer doesn't have a favorite broadcaster, but he likes to listen to anything that is on the air. Proud Geek, BBC, and any international radio. Radio Lens, nice to have you here from Vancouver, British Columbia. Hey, mac and cheese is always good. Cheers. I got no more alcohol. So I guess, do you guys want me to get more alcohol and continue the show? Is that what you guys want? Matt, he thinks he's hearing French on 14295. Let's check it out. 14295. It's not French. I think it's Stallion. It's it's Portuguese. It's Portuguese. I think it's Portuguese. 14295. Oh, it's a rough one. This one. Well, I know for a fact that it's not French, but that's Portuguese. Pretty sure. 14295 is in Portuguese. That's it, Matt. It's Portuguese. Simply, I used to joke Spanish lady was your dream girl. Imagine having a sexy dream with the number lady. Oh man, yeah. Intel Octane are some of the fastest SSDs out there. Keegan has S3 to S5 out of S9 on 10715 HM01 on the satellite. Radio Lens says, I have an air spy discovery. Too many mysterious, apparently internally generated spurious signals. I confirmed these when we had a power blackout. Okay. So, okay. The SDR play devices have a little bit of spurious signals sometimes, but it's manageable. You can, if you change the low frequency, often they go away, and it's not a problem really. So I don't know about the HF plus, but that would, from what you say there, that would mean that the SDR Play RSP devices are probably better. Mickey Dalmich just worked WW0 WWV on 14236. Yeah, let's check it out. Hey, William Moser, nice to have you here. I'm hearing it. So special event station WW0 WWV is coming in. Mark in Fort Collins. WW0 WWV on 14236. Upper sideband. There, Nigel Lawrence says his next receiver will be an SDR Play with MLA30. Cool. Cool. Do it. Cheers. Get another lockdown drink. Refill. Okay. And Mike, WDX50 just ordered an MLA30 Plus. Should get it by the end of the month. Woohoo! Cool. Rob says more alcohol equals yes. Jerry says there's a pirate on 6950. We're going to check that out. Water, no beer left, Dijon. Oh, poor guy. Timmy73, nice to have you on board. What bandwidth span I have? It's 2 megahertz right now. You see, if I go to, let's go here and choose 10 megahertz. Here we go. I'm seeing from 9,000 to 19,000 kilohertz. So there's a little bit of ending that is not there. But let's zoom in a little bit more. So here I'm seeing from 11,500 to 16,700 right now. I have a lot of noise here. So 14236 WW0 WWV. Ricardo Silva says it's Brazilian Portuguese. So take care, Donald Hosmer. It's nice to have you on board. And that's a large swath of frequency. Oh, absolutely. Pretty big. Pretty big. So, hey, guys, I'm going to go refill, and I'll be back in a short while. I'm just going to put it back to 2 megahertz. I like to have a smaller span on the radio. Let's concentrate a little bit on WWV here. So I'm going to leave you guys with WW0 WWV audio, and back in a second, in a minute or two, with a new drink. Let's try to put this here so you guys can hear him. think you guys are going to hear it. That's
7 to 5-8 into Fort Collins, name is Mark.
Mark from Collins, Colorado. Special event station from WWV.
Thank you very much for the contact and addressing the log, and be safe out there. WW0WWD. November 24 Ocean kilowatts. You are about a 5.9 in Fort Collins. Good signal. And the name here is Mark. Well, thanks for that good report. Seems like I'm working direct across the country pretty well. Seems to be getting into California and to the East Coast pretty well, just not north and south. So thank you for that report, Woody, and hopefully you being safe there. This is WW0WWV. Alpha Charlie 4 Romeo Victor, you're about a 5.8 into Fort Collins, name is Mark. Well, thank you very much, Mark. I appreciate that. I got some good gear. Got a lousy antenna. All I had was a little that's about 35, 40 feet. Putting about 1,300 watts into it right now, so got a little power behind it, but the two radio and the power to the tuning, like I was talking about a few minutes ago, but that's what we're doing. Thanks for the contact, and hopefully you'll be in safe. In Fort Collins, probably 9 to 10 over, and the name here is Mark. Thank you for that, Brad. We're the WWV Amateur Radio Club. We're celebrating 100 years of the first podcast done by the organization that became NIST back then as a test. That's kind of what our special event's about. You can read about it on the QSS page under the call WW0WWD.
Hello. We are back. So WW0, WWV, special event station from WWV for the 100 anniversary. And 20 meters. Booming with a lot of signals, actually. So let's have everybody on board. It's got Nicholas Milnes has 7166 lower sideband, very strong station. Matt tried working WW0, WWV, and FT8 earlier today, was getting the wrong takeoff angle. Probably have to work them on 40 or 80. So let's check out the Pirates. Pirate on 6925. Anything here? There's definitely an AM signal on 6925, so there is an AM Pirate. But it's too noisy right now. But 6925 AM. So I'm on your 54-inch smart TV. I'm not sure that's a good idea. I hate to think when somebody tells me, "Oh, you're on my 70-inch." I hate to think of my face on 70-inch TVs. So kind of nice. Yeah, he's in Fort Collins, Colorado, really near the WWV facilities. Take care, Catalan. Have a nice weekend. Stay safe. Alan W. Nice to have you here, Alan. I can hear that station on 14236 here in Ireland, plus lots of other North American stations. It's almost 23:30, 20 local time and pitch dark. Yep. That's the effect that we were talking about. Because the North Pole is in daylight pretty much 24 hours now. You are getting those stations over the North Pole probably. I don't know, Matt. The guy did say that he was in Fort Collins, but I don't know if he's on the same site that you went to visit, right? The other time. But he did. I don't know if he's there, but he did say while he was talking that he was located in Fort Collins. So, Lauren Williams. Old Radio Man. Thanks for the heads up on WW0WWV. Just worked him in Northeast Tennessee. Cool. So, pretty cool. Yeah, May, June. Somebody was asking me the other day Hey, Steve in Australia. Nice to have you on board, my friend. Somebody was asking me the other day what I consider winter propagation, summer propagation, and so on when I listen to the bands. And I was thinking about it. Fais attention à toi, Christian. Et à la prochaine. Christian Ferland. Have a great weekend. Stay safe. So I started thinking, what do I consider summer listening or winter listening and so on? I think we can sum up that summer listening is I put summer listening as kind of May, June, July, pretty much. That's summer propagation for shortwave. Of course, June, when we get to the solstice, it's really, the longest day and all of that. So it's really the peak, but I would consider summer propagation-ish May, June, July. August, you start seeing the characteristics of we are moving on towards the equinox or the fall, or spring, depending on, where you are around the world. And you start seeing the difference in propagation. You start seeing that, okay, things are changing. May, June, July, everything is going to be roughly the same pretty much. But you get into August, you're going to start seeing that things are changing. Propagation is not the same. Shorter days, you're going to start seeing that something's happening in the bands. I'm losing some signals that I was hearing in the past couple of months. Or I'm getting new signals that are slowly creeping back in that I'm hearing usually in the fall or the spring or the winter time. And I would say that August, September, October is the transition time, the equinox, kind of that transition zone that I like a lot. And then you'll get to what I call winter propagation. And winter propagation for me, November, December, January, even part of February. But February is already starting to see also a change where we're moving back into a different propagation. If you listen a lot to the radio, for those that are brand new to the hobby, and you do listen a lot to the radio, you will see patterns. You will see when specific frequencies or whatever part of the world you're listening to, you'll see that there's patterns. I always like to say that there's my summer listening and my winter listening and so on, because what it says is that my summer listening, Radio New Zealand is my summer listening. Why? Because I I know Radio New Zealand comes in early in the morning here quite well, but I work from home. So, of course, I don't wake up at 7 in the morning. It's not my time. I wake up at 9 a.m. ish, which is 13 UTC. By that time, 13 UTC, you're already past some of the peaks of the stations like Radio New Zealand in the morning. So my Radio New Zealand experience is usually at in the evening, and the evening Radio New Zealand on the East Coast is a summer thing. So when they were on 15720, I would hear them in June, July. So it was like Radio Australia. I remember Radio Australia coming in, 9580 in the morning. That was the frequency everybody was listening to in the morning in North America. But I had my summer Radio Australia, which was the 15 or 17 megahertz frequencies in the summer nights. So I would listen to Radio Australia on 17795 or 15 something. They would use some of the frequencies like 15240, I think it was one of them. That would be my summer listening. So when you do that and you do a pattern, maybe it's a little more difficult to find today because there's more relays and less stations from their native countries when they broadcast. But still, there's a pattern throughout the year of propagation. And I've been listening for, 30. So 2020 is going to be 38 years of my first real official shortwave radio. And in 38 years, I've seen all the patterns, I've seen all the things, but for me, it was, evening. I remember being in high school, and when I would start hearing Radio Australia in the evening, what came to mind is summer vacation. Again, summer vacation is soon to be here. I'm starting to hear Radio Australia in the evening. I remember back in the 80s when all the stations were, pretty much all the stations were direct from their own countries in the 80s. Relays, there was not a lot of them. There were a few relays of stations, but most stations you would listen to would be from the country of origin. And so if you listen to Radio Beijing or Radio Peking, if you even listened before me, you would hear them from China. If you'd listen to Radio Japan, now they relayed from Gabon a little bit, but most of Radio Japan transmissions to North America were from the Yamata transmitter site in Japan. And there were specific times of the year when this was better. There were times of the year when it was easier to listen to Radio Japan or Radio Beijing. And I remember February was that time when we started listening to Asia on the 19 meter band. Winter is the deep nights of winter. In the evening, 19 meter band, 15 megahertz is pretty much dead. But you'd get into February. The days were getting a little longer. The gray line propagation changes on the map. And you would get to a point where you would get Radio Beijing or Radio Japan direct with decent enough signals to be listening in. So a lot of the stations, I have a feel of a season or a month of the year, and it reflects actually on my QSL cards. If I look at my QSL cards, the stations that I actually QSL'd a lot, Radio Japan, for example, Radio Beijing, you see the pattern of which months and frequencies were the best through the several years of QSLing the stations. It's kind of interesting. And it's actually fascinating to see that transition in frequency and times and depending on the months and where you are in the year. It's pretty crazy. It's really crazy. What else do we have? Matt, station in Spain on 14245. $15,245. I'm hearing the station. I'm hearing the station. Pretty good signal from Spain, too. Station is really good. Miki Delmage, go to QRZ.com, type WS7M. There's a guy who worked on WW0WWV. Look at his profile picture. Click on it. You will love it. Okay. QRZ. And so WS7M. She's going to log in. The guy from Spain is very strong. F7M. Oh, wow. That is nice. That is nice. There's a big cat. It's always nice. You know what I like with QRZ.com when you have ham radio stations is seeing their setup, the stations they have. Some have so much beautiful pictures there of everything. Some are so amazing when you like the antenna array is just crazy. Pretty crazy. Yeah, exactly, man. MDK2. And it's fun to see the different conditions. I also have, kind of my favorite, kind of, listening shifts depending on the time of the year. An example is June, July in midday is dead. There's not a lot to listen to in the very long days of summer. It's like, the absorption of the ionosphere is at its maximum. And so there's not a lot to listen to most of the time until about mid to later afternoon. And so summer I enjoy because summer nights usually have great propagation of a lot of the stations I like to listen to. So summer evenings are cool. And it's fun, you had the warm day outside, sun is set, cooling down a little, and you go outside and just enjoy, a nice evening of radio listening in the summer. It is always kind of nice. At the same time, in the winter, midwinter, like really in the deep of winter, like near Christmas, early January, there's signals pretty much all day. Even in the 31 meter band, 25 meter band, I hear a lot of stuff from Europe coming in, even at noon, which is kind of interesting. So daytime listening is more my thing in the winter, because in the evening a lot of stations fade out quickly. For example, this winter in January, so many times WRMI on 7780, which had a lot of relays of interesting broadcasts, it would fade out like at 7:30 p.m. in the evening, which is what, 0 hours UTC, when all the interesting broadcasts were there. Here in the East Coast for Montreal, it would fade out. Propagation wasn't there, and I couldn't hear any of the broadcasts except in specific days when solar activity was a little higher. So it's interesting to see the differences for sure. Radio Meowscow. RJ Dakota. Radio Meowscow. I was listening to Radio Meowscow. Man. Proud geek. Why do you call a cat playlist a meow mix? Crazy. Ruffle Man 336. Take care, my friends. See you next week. And 8 UCN 73. Russ Gladden, nice to have you here from Ottawa. DGen has 3955, channel 292, very good. It's early for that low frequency here, DGen. I can try it, but no, there's not even a peep of a signal. Got a few 80-meter hands locally. But it's still early. The sun here is setting in almost like a little less than 2 hours. So it's still a little early, especially for such a low frequency. 3955. We have Mad Reader DXer says DX alert for those in Europe, 1650 kilohertz. CW mode heard just now, which is the Scandi Vitoria vessel from Brazil, which is berthed in Amsterdam, Netherlands. Wow. Cool. Artist Alley Crafter's Kitchen, the frequency for WWV special event, 14236. Was 14236 upper sideband. Ron Hicks posted his first international QSL card in the Facebook group. Cool. Nigel Lawrence. In the winter months, I would listen to Radio Sweden International on 1179 kilohertz. In summer months, on the shortwave 49 meters. Yeah. Ricardo Silva, my father in the 60s, colonial wars, was a comms operational, like rebuilding antennas after bombings. He used to coordinate the digging of old water pipes to do a fast rebuild of the antennas. Wow. Hey, Jane Dagger. Nice to see you on board. Your cat amateur radio call sign, VE2CAT. Yeah, or KAT. Yeah, that'd be nice. So Shady Power is picking satellite PO101 on 145-900. There's quite a few ones that I need to check out. Really, really, it's interesting. There's really a few satellites that are new on, and I need to try to tune them in. There's something not quite right with my setup right now. I've tried satellites a few times in the past couple of weeks, and they're all very weak compared to what I'm used to. So I think something's happening with my feed line to the antenna or the antenna itself. And I actually have been eyeing a discount antenna that I might purchase actually to replace my good old mobile vertical for something different. So I'm going to check that out, but I might be investing in a new discount for the VHF UHF range. Maybe it's going to give me back that, I want to listen to above 30 megahertz more. Also, the K180WLA antenna that I'm waiting for, I want to see how it's going to perform up to 180 megahertz, because that thing is rated to work on the VHF range up to 180 megahertz. That is something I am curious to test for sure. What else do we have? Oh, I like that, Jane Dagger. Hey, Jill, thank you, my love. Big hug, guys. What else do we have? Radioactive says, time to get a military grade discount. I was looking at a couple of possibilities. I am also eyeing the possibility of a directional antenna for satellites, because I do love tuning into satellites, and I've seen some interesting, not too big antennas that I can manually, just with my hand follow the satellite, because I'm not going to put that on a rotor outside or anything. But I could hold it and follow the satellite with a handheld, for example, and listen to some of these signals. A Canadian amyouter. I like that. That would be nice. I could have a QSL card with Paul the Cat in front of the Yaesu FT450. You guys love that one. I got a few messages this week from people saying that picture of Paul the Cat with the radios is great. Let me just check it out here. Okay. Nothing like getting a message that tells you to drop dead to make you feel good. So, we're going to check that out. VHF, UHF, I want to try to do a little more and see what is going to be interesting in there. Okay. Also, concerning SDRs, Robert is afraid that the computers that he uses could make noise in the radio, because already when he uses his radios and the computer's turned on, he has a hard time listening. And I have to say that you've got to understand that is probably, I would say, probably the number one problem of anybody using an SDR: the noise induced in the radio, unfortunately. And that's something that is you can tackle with good quality USB cables that have torids or ferrites at their ends to lower the noise level as much as possible. That's what I'm using with the SDR Play here. And I need to do it. I'm going to have to do it. I'm going to try tonight. What if I would remove that USB cable and use a very basic, standard, cheap USB cable? Would I see a big difference in the noise here? That's a test I need to run. But one thing for sure is that it is a possibility, and I think it's probably the number one problem for a lot of people using SDRs. I've seen quite a few people disappointed in software-defined receivers, and I think that disappointment comes from the fact that their devices, their computers that they're using, creates a lot of noise, and it washes out all the signals. The other thing is, if you use an SDR, you'll have to have a good antenna that is far from your computer and all. I use an MLA30 and I'm happy because it really helps a lot, but it's something to think about, And It's so funny because there's a old couple that actually I don't know where they live, but since the confinement, they've been taking a walk 2 times a day. And the reason I noticed is because one part of the day, every time I hear a truck, I look out the window of my office to see if it's a truck that has a package for me. The other time is when I am cooking supper and I see them by the kitchen window taking their walks. So it's pretty much always at the same time. But a couple of times I noticed that they, when I was outside on the balcony, when it was a beautiful day, I noticed that they look up and they are kind of looking at my antennas, my loops, as if there's some kind of mystery in there. What could these things be doing there exactly? So the other day they were looking up, and I was actually on the balcony, and I could hear the lady say to the guy, "Do you think these are antennas? Wonder what they could be about." And she looks like the curious type. Like I almost like looked at her and said, "Yeah, I'm a spy." But it's like you look and you hear and you're like, yeah. But I don't interact much with that because the worst thing you can do, honestly, is to interact with anybody about your antennas, because antennas are a delicate thing, delicate subject. I remember one neighbor many years ago, about the time I started doing some YouTube videos. That neighbor was suggesting that my antennas, and back then I had a wire antenna in the backyard, which was like a 100 feet wire. She was kind of hinting that she was having bad TV cable, that she suspected that wire had something to do with it, which obviously it can't, because I was not transmitting on it. I was just receiving with it. But it tells you one thing: the more you are low profile about your antennas and equipment, the better it is. And I've always been like that, and I think you got to stay like that. You know what? That's what I like about the MLA30 loop. It's not that visible. If you place it right and choose the proper way of putting it up, it's almost invisible. I mean, that thin loop, you can't even see it from down the street. There's a loop because you see that there's something holding a little box, which is the MLA30 amplifier. But it's not really that visible. If I had only that, because the problem here is I've got my MLA30 plus that is on the horizontal right now. So I'm not kidding, guys. My MLA30 outside is horizontal. I wanted to test it out. My MLA30 original is standing up, and I've got the W6LVP loop also standing up. So what makes people look up is the W6LVP is very visible, and it's very visible that there's something that is holding horizontal on the balcony. And because I wanted to try different things, and I'm actually thinking this is cool, because when I get the K180 loop, I'm gonna put it at the same end as the MLA30 that is horizontal, because this one's going to be up, so they won't interfere with each other. They'll be far enough away that they won't interfere. And it's kind of interesting. I mean, I'm having putting the MLA30 at a horizontal is making my signals above about 11 megahertz much stronger than keeping it up. So, for example, 20 meters, I switched to C for 20 meters, because 20 meters is my horizontal MLA30, and signals are 100 times more powerful than when it's vertical. and they are way more powerful than my original MLA32. But that said, my original MLA30, while this antenna is horizontal, my original MLA30 performs better below 11, below 10 megahertz. So I switch. If I'm above 10 megahertz, I'll use the horizontal. If I'm below 10 megahertz, I'll use the original MLA30 that's standing up. So it's kind of interesting. It's kind of some interesting experiments here. KC9 KUH arrow worked great for me. Okay. Shady Pyro 90, not getting any more call signs. SPO 101 is moving away. Dijon, how long do you usually stay up? If I can usually stay up very long to catch stations from America. I would say that if I decide that I'm doing a listening session, I like to stay up to maybe 1 or 2 a.m. local time to hear some of the stuff that as starting at. So there's the local stuff from North America in the evening. But as we are moving later in the evening, Africa is waking up, and part of Europe. And what happens is midnight local here is 04 UT. So I start hearing Voice of America, BBC, stations that are broadcasting towards Africa. I start hearing, at 04, 05 UT. And I like that because, at 04 UT, I'll listen to 5925 Voice of America, which is broadcasting, I think, from Botswana. And then I will check out at 0430. Often there's Radio Japan, 5975, I think. I think that one's from Warburton, UK. That usually gives a decent signal here. So staying up is interesting because there's all of these stations there that are kind of interesting to listen to. One thing I haven't done in a long time, and I really should, is I would like to do an all-nighter. Let's check out Shortwave throughout all of the night and see what I can listen to. That's something I would like to do. Jane Dagger, noise from computers. I think graphics card. Well, there's a lot of things that make noise. The power supply, for one. But the graphics adapter can be noisy sometimes. Take care, Matt, and have a great evening. And stay safe, my friend. John Bolton, usually the RFI noise from computers from the power supply. But there's a lot of the hardware that can often do a lot of noise also. Alan, did you get TGST? What's TGST? Proud Geek hearing something on 9330. Yeah, that's a perfect broadcast for you, Proud Geek. It's the world's last chance. They are flat Earth people. And they have broadcasts talking about God and how the Earth is flat. WBCQ in Monticello, Maine, in the United States. Joe Summerton, you asked with a long shielded USB cable to connect my SDR as far as possible from the PC and as closer as possible to the antenna. Artist Helicopter's Kitchen. Are some computers less apt to create noise on an SDR? Are laptops on batteries less likely to generate noise? Definitely. That's why I always liked Toshiba laptops over time. They always gave me a great run. But as a bonus Toshiba laptops that I owned over the years were always the quietest of all the computers I've ever had. And actually, the SDR Play here is running on my 6-year-old Toshiba Core i5 laptop. That's right here in the back of the radio. So if you guys look here, this is my good old Toshiba laptop right here. That's what's on that screen up there. So this I retired to be an Insider machine and an SDR dedicated laptop when I got my Nitro 5, my Acer Nitro 5. And a lot of people said, well, you're buying an Acer. And look, I would never have purchased an Acer laptop 10 years ago, because when I would go and fix people's computers, they were the junkiest laptops ever around the world. They were like cheap junk. But Acer in the last couple of years have really, really worked hard in making much more professionally and nice laptops that are really good quality laptops. Toshiba doesn't make laptops anymore, so I had no Toshiba possibility when I purchased my laptop last summer. So I thought, what I'm going to buy? I owned an HP computer in the past. It's not that I hate HP or anything. It was okay. It was a nice laptop. What made me direct myself to the Nitro 5 was the fact that part of my gaming side wanted to have a powerful enough laptop to do some gaming, some serious gaming on. And also I wanted something really fast. So when I went out to check out, because, laptops, I don't buy laptops online most of the time. Unless I really know a specific model and stuff, I rather go to, a big store like, I don't know. I went to Staples, which is a Bureau en Gros here. But, or Best Buy, because they have a lot of choice. And the first thing I do is I get in the store, and when the guy sees me looking at laptops, of course he gets annoying. The first thing I say is, thank you. I'll call you when I want help. Actually, I'll call you when I want to have a laptop. I know what I'm doing. Just leave me alone. And that's pretty much what I did, And I remember, actually, the guy, it wasn't nice, But the guy came up to me and says, well, you're looking at that laptop. There's this. It's like, and I remember I looked at him and said, if I want your opinion, I'll ask for it. Go away. And he looked at me like, okay. It wasn't that the nicest way of saying something to a guy that works there, but it was like, leave me alone. I don't need you. Go annoy somebody else. So I went through and I had two choices, actually. I had the choice of a Alienware that is owned by Dell, which was a very powerful gaming laptop, but it was $2,600. And that was more than I wanted to spend on a computer. It was nice. It was really nice. But $2,600, do I really want to spend that kind of money? It's with taxes and everything, it's going to be like $3,000. I'm not sure. I'd rather spend less and buy two of them in a span of a short couple of years than spend $3,000 and have to keep it for 8 years, So I saw the Acer Nitro 5. The first Acer Nitro 5 I saw was $1,000, but it had a magnetic hard drive, which I didn't want. I wanted to have an SSD. And so, and it had only, 8 gigs of RAM, which was not enough. So I looked at it and was like, okay, looks nice, but I don't want to have that. That's kind of too low grade. Or, if I buy that, I'm going to buy an SSD and buy RAM, and it's going to become a, $1,500, $1,600 computer. And I looked at it. I told the guy, I said, so I asked the guy back, said, you got this gaming laptop, you got that one, anything else for gamers, And he said, now I felt bad because he looked at me and said, oh, by the way, in the back, we have Nitro 5s. It's just that we haven't time to put it here, that have SSDs and more memory and better graphics adapters in it. And I was like, oh, really? He says, yeah, I can go get one. I said, what's the price? And that's the one I have here with a NVIDIA graphics card and a 1 terabyte SSD. And it has, this one has 16 gigs of RAM. Eventually, I'm going to upgrade to 32. And, he was super cool. And it was like, okay, I treated the guy like crap 20 minutes ago, and now he's like super nice. But at the same time, he was super nice because he wanted to have his commission. So I was like, okay, And I think he probably understood, it's not bad what I'm saying. It's just, but I still felt bad. I was like, when I went to pay, I was like, sorry for treating you like trash 20 minutes ago. It's just that, I was a tech guy, and I know what I want to purchase, and I hate people that are, and he looked at me and says, oh, no sweat. It's like, I totally understand. I was like, oh, okay, cool. Let's have a beer together. No, kidding. But, it's like you feel bad for a moment. So that's where I got this machine. So what we were talking about? So creating noise, that's the thing. I know that my Nitro 5 creates more noise than Toshiba's that I had. But they're really powerful, and it's got 2 GPUs in it and so on. So, that was the other side, is if I buy this thing, if I ever want to have my SDR play on it, is it going to be, noisy? Is it going to work well? That's the other story. I haven't tried the SDR play much on it, but it does seem a little noisier. As for batteries, running an SDR on batteries, yes, often lowers the noise terribly, because one of the biggest problems for a lot of laptops is the power supply. John Bolton, tell them a couple you're listening to Martians. I'm talking to the little green man. Yeah. Alan, I did not get the new loop yet. It's been shipped. So I'm expecting it like any day now. Any day now. I'm not sure it can be legal to, I imagine Jane Dagger, you go to court, it's like, well, I killed my landlord because he didn't want me to put up antennas. I think I have my rights here. Constitutional rights. Proud Geek, that is Voice of Greece on 9420. Absolutely. So you're tuning with my good old Texan PL 450, eh? It's a great radio. That is a great radio. Simon Templar, nice to have you here, my friend. I like that. Proud Geek says he's an enthusiastic newbie. I like that. Nah, you're not that bad, Jane Dagger. Come on. Hey, Jay Waterston 69, nice to have you here, my friend. Proud Geek. I would help you with a case of 24 beer all-nighter. Well, all-nighter of radio. Tuning the bands. That'd be I'm not sure I want to do beer all night. I'm gonna beer. I'm gonna fall asleep at some point. There'll have to be some coffee at some point. Jay Watterson. Update on the Paul Cat QSL cards. Oh man. Ricardo Silva. Yep. Good old Toshiba. Mike W. Dice. Toshiba sending signal to Sony TV. I like the pairing. Yep. Sony and Toshiba. Japanese all the way. Jane Dagger, I have a 1070 NVIDIA card, and I'm very sure that is what is pushing a lot of noise. Yeah, I have the NVIDIA is probably, I mean, it's turned off because in the laptop it's 2 GPUs. I've got by default it's the Intel piece of crap, but it has that NVIDIA GPU when you kick in a game or anything. RJ Dakota, flat earthers really wouldn't understand how their signals would work. Well, they would if, they want us to believe Earth is flat. Then what they need to do is put an FM radio signal on VHF with a lot of power, use that same 500 kilowatts, and tell us, yeah, you guys in Europe are going to hear it. On a flat Earth with a big antenna on VHF and 500 kilowatts, well, technically, I think from Monticello, Maine to UK, signal should be there. I would guess the signal would be there. But, there's something in between that's going to block the VHF signal. It's called the Earth because it's round. Oh, God. Ricardo Silva, Toshiba is no more like it was because it almost went under after a bad deal with the US. Yeah. Their PC business was never... Their PC business has never really worked well. And it's sad because apart from their crappy keyboard, because Toshiba keyboards were always the crappiest of all the laptops, the computers themselves were amazing. And they always were really, really good in lasting years. I mean, I still have it's over there. I still have my 2008 Core 2 Duo Toshiba running Windows 10, actually. I mean, it's crazy. Mike WDX50, I have an Acer laptop as well, supposedly a low-cost gaming machine. Yeah, because they have lower-end gaming machines. Mine cost me $1,800, but it has a higher-grade GPU from NVIDIA, more RAM, SSD, and so on. So it's not top-notch gaming; it's good gaming. So I play the games, and they actually run super well. But boy, when you play a game for hours, man, the fans run like really crazy in there. It's crazy. Radioactive. Jill goes to a big box store, Canadian Tire. I would never buy a laptop from Canadian Tire, I can tell you that. I barely buy stuff at Canadian Tire already, except, a coffee maker machine or stuff like that. Rufus Snoot says, you would have been my best customer. Really? Oh, man. Keegan, first laptop computer at Dell in December 2009. My second an Acer in June 2016. His third an HP in July 2019. Wow. Mike, first computer, Sony Vaio desktop. I always was amazed with those, the Sony Vaios, when I would go and fix computers. Oh, man. Twin Dagger, buy AMD chip and motherboard. Yeah. I've always been kind of a sucker for Intel. But I got to say the AMD Ryzen chips are pretty impressive today. Proud Geek, Saudi Arabia, 9555. So let's check that out. I'm barely getting it here. You're getting that? 9565. 9565 is not Brazilian. It's 9565 is Radio Marti in the US. 9690 Spain. Yes, you are right. Pretty cool. And Radio Romania, 9760. Now that's what we call going around. Oh, they're off. That's why 9555 was good. Forgot they signed off. It's past 7. Oh, that's 7315. Everybody. No, it's 23. It's 23 hours, guys. Anything interesting on the 41 meter band? Let's check it out here. What's on? So Radio Marti is strong on 7335. Let's check out Brazil, 11780. Brazil is good. 11780. 11780. Radio Nacional Amazonas with some music from Brazil. David in Barcelona owned laptops by HP and big chain of computer store here in Spain. We sold laptops under their own brand. And so my current laptop is an Asus. Adria DXer, on my laptop, I undervolt my CPU and GPU when I am gaming, so the temperatures are not as high. Yeah, because the temperatures go high fast on the laptop. The problem with a gaming laptop is that the form factor, the fact that it's thin, the heat is extremely, it really goes really high. Jane Dagger, stop being smart, damn it. Okay, I'm going to dumb down. So, can somebody explain to me how shortwave works on a flat Earth exactly? And where do I go if I want to fall off the edge? Please tell me. Oh, man. Rufus Newt, all-nighters lead to 3 days of sleep. Radioactive, all-nighter radio show. Sounds like a good use of a Saturday night, Sunday morning. Oh, man. Oh, man. A all-nighter show on live on YouTube. Ay, ay, ay. RJ Dakota, enjoying music on Voice of Greece. 1170 Nacional Amazonas, super clear. Yep. What else do we have? RJ Dakota FM. Yeah, absolutely. Come on. I mean, the Earth is flat. 500 kilowatts on FM is going to make it to Australia. Oh, it's true. Aren't the flat earthers? I think the flat earth guys say that Australia is a fake country that does not really exist. Apparently, we added it on the map, but it doesn't exist. Man, please. Mike Thornton, nice to have you here from Kansas, WC0L. Oh, God. You know, sometimes. Simply, everything on this laptop is Intel. Well, Realtek is always the audio. Realtek has been audio and everything since 10 years ago, at least. My first computer was a VIC-20 in 1982-ish. A VIC-20. Andrea DX, her first own computer was a Amstrad CPC 464 with a color monitor. You could also get a green monitor instead if you wanted. Oh man. I ordered on eBay because I'm ordering a lot of stuff these days. A 16 megabyte cartridge that you plug in the back of the Commodore computer, which I have up here, that has 300 games, Commodore 64 games on it. I can't wait to get it and have 300 games on my Commodore computer. Mark Schmidt, nice to have you on board from Maine. Long time no see. And nice to have you on board, my friend. God. What else do we have? What else do we have? Australia exists but needs permission to appear. Yeah, maybe I shouldn't go to Australia. Maybe we should ask the Proud Geek when he went to Australia if he was afraid of falling off the edge of the earth, since it's flat. Oh, man. Radioactive Shell for the all-nighter on YouTube. Change the format to just showing your SDR screen so you can be comfy while streaming. Yeah, that could be a way. I'm not sure I want to have people watching me, throughout the night. Especially, if you have to interact like this. I don't think I can pull off an all-nighter, although I did do a 5-hour show, so... if you start at midnight, it's like an all-nighter anyways. But that is an idea where you just, the audio of my voice mixed in, but with, maybe the SDR screen. That's an interesting idea. So I could be, in my boxer shorts, and nobody cares because nobody sees it. Nijan says, is the SMA connector on the MLA30 that you plug into your radio a female or male plug? It's a male plug. So the SMA connector on the MLA30 is male. So if you need an adapter, you need a female SMA to whatever adapter you need. John Bolton, remember the VIC-20? I love that thing. I mowed lawns for 2 summers to get the VIC-20. Oh, wow. Then had to mow another year to get the basic cartridge and a monochrome monitor. I was lucky. I had the VIC-20, and my parents had purchased a new TV, and I was the lucky bum to have a 20-inch color TV plugged with the VIC-20. And I remember buying the Computes Gazette, typing in a game until I understood that to play it, I needed a joystick, which I didn't have. And I remember an uncle that came home and spent an evening, and that uncle, when he was drunk, suddenly was giving money away. So when I saw the uncle arrive, I thought, oh, when he's drunk, usually he gives money. I'm going to wait. Maybe I'm going to have enough to buy a joystick. I know that's bad. I didn't care about the uncle. I just cared about he's giving money away. And no, I cared about the uncle, of course. But part of me was like, maybe he's going to give me some cash later on. And he drank all night with my parents. And at like midnight, is like, I like you, blah, blah, blah. It's fun to see your computer and so on. And here's $30. And I'm like, oh, thank you so much. And next morning, first thing that I did was wake up at like 8 a.m. And I went out to get a $25 joystick with that $30. So I could finally play that game that I typed for a few hours on the VIC-20 computer. Oh, man. Bobby Burgess, first computer Epson with MS-DOS with WordPerfect. Oh, man. Wilma Pirovani. Nice to have you here. Where are you located? Mad Radio DXer says, remember the cartridge for the Commodore 64 my friend had back then? It was a soccer game. Oh, yeah, the international football. Yeah, I remember that. Proud Geek in Australia was afraid because it was alone and it was the first time ever leaving Canada and taking the plane, more than falling off the earth. Yeah, you were just afraid of being somewhere you really don't know where you are. Marcos Polizzelli. Nice to have you here, Marcos. Rufus Newt. Yeah, that'd be kind of interesting. Ricardo Silva says, shortwave flat earth jokes. Now that stop. Oh, God. Yeah, that was the first thing I did too, Rufus. I had that cassette thing. Actually, I didn't have the cassette tape at first. I would type it in, play for it all evening. And if I thought I would play it again, I would leave the computer on all night so I can play it again the next day. And when I was bored to hell, I'd shut down the computer and restart, type another game. Until one day I had the cassette to save the games. Oh, that was fun. Now I could save the games that I took 4 hours to type in. And there was always that, you type in the game, it took you 4 hours, you run it, and it gives you an error. And you're like, okay, what did I do wrong? Of course, you typed in, 300,000 characters. You're not expected to have all of them right the first time. And what made me even madder was when you would get a Computes Gazette. I wish my drunk uncle would give me away money. Hey, man, you're working now. You have your own money. So, the worst part was when you would type in a game, it wouldn't work, and you try it 3 or 4 times until it's like, okay, forget it. And then 2 months later, there would be in the magazine, they would say, oh, we are sorry, in the April issue of the game, there's an error on line 206 of the program. This is what you should have typed in. That's why it didn't work. And you're like, okay. How can you have an error in the printing of that game? I don't understand it. Didn't you try it before? Didn't you just type run? Or somebody was just joking around and said, let's just put it like this. And it's like 2 months later. It was like, oh, yeah, you got to type. Oh, okay. So I'm going to have to type it for the 5th time. I don't know. It was like, come on. Rufus Newt still have my game cassette for my Sinclair. Oh, wow. Madrid DXer remembers days they had to load the game from cassette. It took almost 20 minutes, and at the last moment, it did not load with a message saying syntax error. Yep, good old days. Good old days. Proud Geek, Week China 9865, Q1 saying 11760, Werder 2 on 11800, and Spain on 11940. Cool. It's so funny because you know what, Jane Dagger, I got a email today. I'm going to try to explain it in a way that is not too graphic. So I got a email this morning. The email says, hi. So I was logging you on a porn site 3 days ago and turned on your camera while you were naked. And, just saying, I've got your Facebook friend list. So unless you want me to post that video of you doing bad stuff naked in front of your camera, I think we could. I like the phrasing. I think we could agree that $3,000 in Bitcoin is a good deal. And I was like, yeah, right. Come on. But it's like you read it and you're like, okay. So of course I ignored it. But about, I don't know. So that was like when I woke up at 9 a.m. Around 1 p.m., not 1 p.m., noon, 3 hours later, message again. Well, I still don't have an answer from you. But, I have your Facebook friends. And I'm going to send them a video. And, now you made me mad. It's like $5,500 in Bitcoin. So you better hurry up because, it's going to be bad. It's like, what? What? What the hell? But the worst part is these people scare others because when I was a tech guy, there were people that, I remember one guy that I went to scared as hell because his computer was logged down by that white page that said the Canadian RCMP would go and arrest him because he did bad things the other day on a website, and that they'd forgive him if he gave $500. It's like, yeah, right. The cops will forgive you for $500. Come on, what a joke! But there, you know what? It scares some people. Totally. Man, David in Barcelona. Technically speaking, the very first computer I used was my father's Atari. I think it was an ST or close to it. Then we had a 386 with MS DOS and Windows 3.1, and later a Pentium 4 with Windows 98. Oh man. What else do we have? Number station on 11635, apparently. Oh, nothing here. Maybe it's gone. What else do we have? Timing Sinclair computer. Oh man. Yeah, the sextortion and scam email stuff. It's like, what the hell's that? You know? Hey, John, nice to have you on board. Building a horizontal sky loop this weekend. Cool. Cool. Hey, Jane Dagger, be careful on the language used. We got to be 18 years or less capable. So anything else here? WRMI on 7780. Already coming in. What's the signal here? I like the way that he talks on 7780. Isn't that the screamer? Yeah, he's the screamer. 7780. That guy makes me laugh all the time. The screaming preacher on 7780. 7780, the screaming preacher. I love that. I like that guy. trying to wake up everybody every phrase. It's like, hey, I'm listening to Shortwave. Hey, tune 11635. It's like, what the hell? And now it's ID. I believe it's Radio Slovakia now, or Radio Prague. Am I right or wrong? So WRMI, I think now it's going to be. Oh, in French. I think it's Radio for Peace International. Oh, it's RAE Argentina in French. Oh, this is nice. RAE Argentina in French. Oh, this is nice. I was trying to find them the other day, and I didn't know what time they were on what frequency. RAE, Radio Argentina al Exterior via WRMI on 7780. Oh, this is nice. This is really nice. Degen says some backwards messages on 3955. Pirate on 6932. Let's check that out. 6932. Yeah, an upper sideband. It's Simon and Garfunkel song. Sound of Silence, 6932 upper sideband. There's a pirate playing a Simon and Garfunkel song right now. It's pretty good signal. ZX, it's too noisy here. DRM transmissions never decode up to the audio. Sometimes I see the ID and everything, but never decodes to the audio, unfortunately. So, hey guys, 3 hours and 30 minutes show. Hope you enjoyed the show tonight. I am hungry. I've got some chicken to cook, and I am going to go and cook my chicken. That sounds weird. I'm going to go cook my chicken. It was like on a show I heard this week, somebody was talking about crumpets, and somebody said, hey, you can freeze them. And he says, oh, yeah, I'm going to freeze my crumpets. And everybody look at each other. It's like, yeah, that sounds weird, huh? Freeze your crumpets. It's like cooking my chicken. So take care, everybody. I'm in a good mood tonight. Maybe I should continue on until midnight. So stay safe, everybody. We've been on for 3 hours and 30. I think it was a nice show tonight. We reached about 180 at some point. And it's always nice to have all of you here. Stay safe. Remember, guys, maybe Sunday a show. Who knows? Depends on how I'm going to feel on Sunday. It's supposed to be rainy, so you know what? Raining temperatures, raining, cold, and whatever. Who knows? Maybe I'll be on Sunday. But don't count on it. But if it's there, it's there. So for the rest, we have a show 2 times a week. Hey, Brian Penny. It's nice to have you here. So we are here twice a week on Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific, 0 UTC. Friday at 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific, 20 hours UTC. Hope you enjoyed the show today. It was a lot of fun to do. And, a show is fun to do is when I go through 3 hours and a half, and it's like, So Facebook group, don't forget, guys, Facebook group, official SWL channel. Great place to be to continue this listening, to continue what's happening here. Okay? And this is going to be a lot of fun. And I think it's going to be cool to see all of you. See you next week, maybe Friday. And take care, my friends. Yeah, you know what? We're going to talk about that at some point, David. You know, I would like to have a little more interaction, but every time we go a little more into it, it's a little delicate. Most people don't want to be, you know. Anyways, thanks for being great fans. Thanks for being there, because without you guys, there would be no live shows. There would be no Shortwave channel. Stay safe. Love you all. And you know what? It's always cool to see you guys. Take care, my friends. Stay safe. Love you all.